I ran my legs off to book a hotel within 300 meters of the exam site for the whole class's college entrance exams, but the school beauty's mother openly questioned me in the group chat. 150 for one night. How much of a kickback are you, a kid, taking? Her incitement led all the parents to check out. She ended up booking a hotel owned by her cousin instead, at just 80 a night. In an instant, I became a sinner. Isolated by everyone, but on the day of the exam, as I strolled into the testing room. With a relaxed demeanor, I received a frantic text from my homeroom teacher. Everyone was late except you. 01. The June sky was like an upturned steamer, the air was thick and sticky, and even the cicadas' drone carried a note of restlessness. Only 3 days remained until the National College Entrance Exam. I'm Joran, the class monitor of Class 3, a class monitor who served from freshman to senior year, yet whose name few could remember. My grades were average, my personality was unremarkable, and my looks were plain. Toss me into a crowd, and I'd be completely forgotten in 3 seconds flat. But I had one fatal flaw: overzealous sense of responsibility. Teacher Lou, our homeroom teacher, patted me on the shoulder, his face etched with worry. Joran, I'm counting on you for the exam venue hotel arrangements. The 50 students in our class represent the hopes of 50 families. Getting a good rest before the exam is more important than doing one more practice test. I nodded emphatically. I understand the gravity of this matter. No. 1 middle school's exam site has been assigned to No. 7 middle school in the city center, a location with convenient transportation, but with extremely limited hotel accommodations nearby. I've been running around for a whole week over this. My legs are about to give out from running. My movement was restricted to a circle with a radius of 300 meters centered on the No. 7 middle school exam site. Hotels in this range are either fully booked or priced out of reach. I used my mom's phone to make over 200 calls. My ear was burning from the phone receiver. Finally, things took a turn for the better last night. A budget hotel called Winyuan had 30 rooms suddenly become available after a tour group cancelled at the last minute. My dad pulled some strings through a connection at his workplace, a distant relative who had shared drinks with the hotel owner. The owner agreed to let us have all the rooms at a group rate of 150 yuan per night. For context, the hotel's standard listed price is normally 288 yuan. At this critical juncture of the college entrance exams, it's prime real estate, a truly scarce resource. After receiving the verbal promise, I practically sprinted home. My heart was pounding in my chest. I finally did something major for the class, a major achievement that would make everyone remember me. I shared the good news along with the hotel's location, price, and photos all at once in the grade 12 class 3 parents and students group chat. The group chat instantly exploded. Oh my god, Joran, you're amazing. Just 300 meters from the exam hall, a 5-minute walk away, 150 a night. That price is practically charity. Thanks, monitor. Our family's signing up. Us too, we're signing up. A string of +1s and thank yous, like an ice-cold cola on a summer day, refreshed me from head to toe. I am immersed in this unprecedented sense of fulfillment. Even my mom teases me, saying I laugh like a 200-pound fool. I entered the information one by one to create the booking form. By 2 a.m., all 50 students and 48 families had been confirmed. Only 2 people haven't replied yet. One is a gaming addict who's never online. The other one is Wenxin, the campus belle of our class, the princess everyone adored. I didn't pay it much mind. Perhaps her family had it all arranged long ago. I drifted off to sleep contentedly, dreaming of my classmates thanking me after receiving their admission letters. The next day, I was woken by the vibration of a group message. I picked up my phone drowsily. A message from Wenxin appeared prominently at the top of the screen, drawing the attention of countless onlookers. 150 a night. Joran, you're just a high school student. How much of a kickback are you taking? A buzzing sound. My mind went completely blank. Sunlight streamed through the cracks in the curtains, stinging my eyes. The group chat was deathly silent. That message was like a poison nail, driven into everyone's line of sight. After sending that message, Wenxin immediately followed up with a voice note. Her usually sweet and melodious voice now felt like a knife wrapped in honey. Everyone, don't get the wrong idea. I'm not targeting Joran. I just think that as students, the college entrance exam is a serious matter, and we shouldn't let anything shady get mixed up in it. 150 per night, 48 rooms. 2 days comes to 14,400. You can do the math yourself to see how much shady business is going on here. I'm just giving a friendly reminder. After all, no one's money grows on trees. She paused, her voice laced with just the right amount of wounded pride and righteous indignation. Perhaps my family is a bit better off, so I've never seen this kind of maneuver before. Joran, if your family is struggling, you could have told us. We could have started a collection for you, but making money off your classmates this way, isn't that a bit inappropriate? Every word she said hit me right where it Hurt, my family wasn't wealthy, my parents were both ordinary workers, but we lived honestly, never stealing or robbing, holding our heads high, kickbacks, making money. Those two phrases felt like two sharp slaps across my face. It stunned like fire. I didn't even have time to type a rebuttal when XIN supporters couldn't wait to jump in. Sports committee member Winehouse was the first to speak up. When XIN just speaks her mind, she means well for everyone. Cultural committee member Li Qian chimed in, yeah, 150 is definitely a bit steep. We students don't really know much about this stuff, might have actually gotten ripped off. A few girls who were usually close to Wenxin also began to murmur in agreement. My mom also thinks there's something off about the price, better to be careful. After all, it's about money. The wind shifted completely in the span of a single minute. The parents who were thanking me profusely just yesterday had now fallen into a deep silence. That silence was more suffocating than any accusation could ever be. A chill shot up from the soles of my feet, instantly spreading through my entire body, my hands trembling. I began typing. I didn't take any kickbacks. The hotel's original price was $288, but the boss gave us a group discount of $150 just because he's a friend of my dad. I'll share the official hotel booking confirmation screenshot. In a frantic rush, I took a screenshot and sent it to the group chat. The grayed out sold out on the hotel's mini program, right next to the listed weekday rate. $288. The red exclamation mark was a jarring sight, yet my explanation seemed utterly feeble in the face of Wenxin's meticulously crafted narrative. Wenxin replied immediately, anyone can take a screenshot, right, Zhou Ran? We all know you're good with computers. She sent a playful 10-out emoji. Stop pretending. It's pointless. These 5 words, like a final verdict, have nailed me to the pillar of shame. In the group chat, a parent finally broke the silence. She's Winehouse's mom. When XIN. Do you have any better suggestions? My heart sank as I read that line. I knew it was over. That was exactly what Wenxin had been waiting to hear. Her reply was almost instantaneous. Auntie, my cousin's family just opened a new hotel out in the suburbs. It's got a lovely setting, and it's only about 40 minutes by car to the exam venue. He heard we were booking rooms for the class, so he gave us the insider rate. Just $80 a night, and it's a luxurious king-size room. She shared a beautiful promotional image of the hotel, blue sky, white clouds, and European-style architecture. It looks just like a resort. 150, a chilling and brutal contrast. No one cared what the suburbs or a 40-minute drive really meant. All they saw was that glaring 80, and when XIN's grand, self-sacrificing posture of using family connections for everyone's good. And then there was me, Zhou Ran, a despicable, petty individual with an ugly soul and face, trying to squeeze kickbacks out of his classmates. My phone vibrated again. It was a private message from Wenxin, a selfie she had just posted, with the opulent living room of her home in the background. She flashed a victory sign at the camera. The caption consists of only 2 characters. You, 02, Wenxin's just you, hit me like a bucket of ice water poured over my head. It instantly calmed me down from my anger. I stared at her delicate, provocative face in the chat window, deleted the long string of accusations I had already typed out. It's pointless to argue with her. She's not looking to fight. She wants me dead. In the group chat, Winehouse's mother couldn't wait to voice her opinion. 80 a night. That's wonderful. Wenxin is such a thoughtful child, always looking out for us. I'm with Wenxin. Our family is booking the hotel through Wenxin's cousin. A single stone stirs up 1,000 waves. We stand with Wenxin too, so it's the suburbs. A 40-minute drive isn't that far. Think of it as a little road trip. Exactly. It's almost half the price. You can save over $100 in just 2 days, and it's run by relatives we know inside out, so you can rest easy. The same parents who once praised my competence were now complimenting Wenxin with even more lavish words and fervent enthusiasm. I could almost picture their sycophantic faces through the screen. I, Zhou Ran, have been utterly abandoned by them. No, it's worse. After they had squeezed every last bit of use out of me, I was spat out onto the ground with disgust. Like a piece of dried up, chewed sugarcane pulp, I took a deep breath and sent my final message in the group chat. Hello everyone. The rooms at the Wenyuan Hotel were booked under my father's friend's name as a guarantee. If you wish to cancel, please call the hotel front desk in person or have your parent call on your behalf before 3 p.m. today. Here's the hotel's phone number, 021XXXXXXXX. Failure to cancel within the specified time will be considered a confirmed check-in, and the deposit will not be refunded. I'm sorry for the inconvenience caused to everyone. I offered no further explanation, nor did I say another word. After sending that message, I left the group chat. My phone screen still showed the private chat window between Wenxin and me. I looked at her triumphant selfie. She typed 3 words with a blank expression. You just wait. Then I added her to my blacklist. The world seemed to grow a little quieter, but the vibration of my phone soon snapped me back to reality. It was a Cancellation call? No. It was parents calling to demand answers from me. The first call came from Li Qian's mother. Her voice was shrill and thin, like fingernails scraping a chalkboard. Zhou Ran, is it? What's your problem? Why should we have to call and cancel it ourselves? You're the one who booked it for us, so you're the one who has to get it refunded. Are you just stalling to try and keep more of our money? I listened calmly. Ma'am, the reservations are under each student's own name and phone number. Hotel policy requires the person who booked to cancel it themselves, so if we don't stay, why shouldn't we get our deposit back? Auntie, these are the hotel's rules, not mine. I'm just the messenger. I emphasize the word auntie. How dare you speak to me like that? You have no manners at all. No wonder you'd take a kickback. She was ranting furiously on the other end of the line. I didn't listen any further and simply hung up the phone. Then, the second, the third, almost every parent took out their frustration over the cancellation on me. They seemed to have forgotten how they begged me and praised me just a day ago. For the first time, I truly grasped the coldness of human nature. My phone buzzed like a dying hornet's nest. I just switched to airplane mode. The world fell into complete silence. I lay in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. The chandelier on the ceiling had 12 light bulbs. I counted them, one by one. When I reached the 12th, the tears finally came. Unbidden resentment, anger, and bitter frustration, like a tide. It overwhelmed me. Why should I run myself ragged for these selfish people? Why should I be overjoyed like a fool just for their praise? Oh, Zhou Ran, you're the biggest fool of all. It was impossible to tell how much time had passed before the door was gently pushed open. My mother walked in carrying a bowl of chilled mung bean soup. She didn't ask anything. Just place the bowl by my bedside. Ran, drink the soup. It'll cool you down. She sat on the edge of my bed, gently patting my back. Mom knows you're hurting, but the college entrance exam is everything. Don't let these unworthy people and things ruin your focus. Mom and Dad have discussed it. We'll keep the room and win you on for ourselves. 300 meters. You couldn't be late even if you were blindfolded. We're not going to put up with that. I turned my head and looked at Mom. Fine lines had begun to gather at the corners of her eyes, a few silver strands now graced his temples. For me, she and Dad always gave everything they had. I sat up abruptly, wiped away my tears, picked up the bowl of mung bean soup, and drank it all in one go. Mom, I got it. The cool mung bean soup slid down my throat, as if dousing the fire burning in my heart. Yes, the college entrance exam is everything. I cannot lose, not for anyone else, but for myself, and for my parents. At 3 in the afternoon, I turned off airplane mode. My phone was instantly flooded with countless text messages and missed calls. I didn't look at a single one. I dialed the front desk of the Wenyuan Hotel directly. Hello, I'd like to confirm the booking for the Gaokao accommodation. The receptionist's voice is very sweet. All right, please hold on for a moment. Hello, are you Zhou Ran? Yes, that's correct. As of 3 p.m., we have received a total of 47 cancellation calls. Currently, only one room remains reserved under the name Class 3, Grade 12. No, 1 high school. The reservation was made under your name. Would you like to keep the room? I held my phone, the sunlight streaming through the window and falling gently on my hand. It's very warm. Keep, I said. Thank you. After hanging up, I stared at the solitary one on my phone screen. A profound sense of calm settled in my heart, unlike anything I had ever felt before. Sure, being alone somehow brings more peace. Just then, a text message arrived from an unknown number. I tapped it open. I'm sorry, Zhou Ran, and thank you, no signature. I paused, confused by what it meant. Right after that, another text message came in, still the same number. I'm Zhao Xiaowen. I didn't cancel the reservation, but my mom forced me to cancel it because she believed when XIN. I just secretly rebooked the room at Wenyuan using my own allowance, but the price was the original 288. I just want you to know, you did nothing wrong. They're the ones who were wrong. Zhao Xiaowen. The class monitor in charge of academics was a very quiet girl who didn't speak much. My eyes welled up with tears once again. So, someone did believe in me after all. I replied to her promptly. Don't book the 288 one. Your 150 room is still there. I didn't let the hotel cancel it. I told the owner we need to keep 2 rooms reserved. Who's the other one for? She replied quickly. I smiled and typed 2 words. It's a secret. The internet-addicted boy who hadn't uttered a single word in the group chat from start to finish. The deskmate I thought had long since lost contact sent me a QQ message at 2:59 in the afternoon. Thanks, monitor. I'm definitely staying at the hotel. Anyone who backs out is an idiot. 03. The day I went to school to pick up my admission ticket was the darkest day of my entire senior year. The moment I stepped into the classroom, the noisy room fell silent in an instant. Dozens of eyes, like searchlights, were fixed on me in unison. There was curiosity, contempt, sympathy, but above all, a sense of schadenfreude. I could hear the whispers coming from the corner. Look, that's her. The one who takes kickbacks. I heard she stayed in a $150 hotel all by herself. How extravagant, how despicable, trying to make money off even her own classmates. I walked to my seat with a blank expression, not looking at anyone. My desk mate, Lucia, the internet-addicted teenager, was slumped over the desk, fast asleep. I had just sat down when someone bumped into my back. Not too hard, but not too gently either. The pencil case in his hand fell to the ground, and pens scattered all over the floor. This is Winehow, the sports committee member. He and his cronies walked past me with smirking grins. Oh, sorry, class monitor, didn't see you there. His tone was laced with insincere apology and unmasked malice. A stifled ripple of laughter spread through the crowd. In the past, I might have silently picked up the pens one by one and swallowed my pride, but not today. I didn't even bend down. I just quietly watched Winehow's receding figure. Then, lifting a foot, they used the tip of their shoe to gently, one by one, push all the pens scattered on the floor into the trash can in the corner. The movement was small, but enough for everyone to see. The raucous laughter came to an abrupt halt. Everyone was stunned, including Winehow. He spun around abruptly, his face alternating between pale and flushed. Joe ran. What do you mean? I lifted my head, met his gaze, and spoke calmly. Nothing much. It's dirty. I don't want it anymore. I'm talking about a pen. But everyone understood. I wasn't talking about a pen. Winehow's face instantly flushed a deep, purplish red. He lunged forward and raised his fist. Are you fucking looking for a death wish? The whole class held their breath, ready for a good show, when Xin sat not far away, a smug smile curling at the corner of her lips, her eyes brimming with anticipation. I didn't dodge. I merely watched his raised fist, my gaze as cold as ice. Go ahead, hit me, I said. Hit me right here. I pointed at my own face. The college entrance exam is tomorrow. If you throw that punch, it's deliberate assault on a classmate, and you'll be responsible for making them miss the exam. Even if you're not expelled, it will go on your permanent record and disqualify you from admission to any university. Forget about your spot as a sports specialized student too. Can you, and your family, bear the consequences? My voice wasn't loud, but each word struck Winehow's heart like a cold hammer. His raised fist froze in midair. Let it go, but feel embarrassed, can't let go, but truly afraid to strike. Just then, a lazy voice drifted over from beside me. What's all the racket? Some of us are trying to sleep. Lucia stretched and lifted his head from the desk. He rubbed his bleary eyes and glanced at Winehow and me, locked in our standoff. Then, he let out a yawn and slowly got to his feet. He stood at 6'1", a good half head taller than Winehow, with the long, strong fingers of someone who spent years gaming. Without a word, he walked up to Winehow, raised his hand, and gently, one finger at a time, pried open the clenched fist before letting it fall. The whole time, his face wore a look of sleepy confusion, but his eyes were unusually clear and alert. He patted Winehow on the shoulder, grinning to reveal a pair of small canine teeth. Hey man, the college entrance exam is right around the corner. Don't get so worked up, it'll affect your performance. Winehow looked at him, his lips parting slightly, but in the end, not a single word came out. He shot me a fierce glare before slinking back to his seat. A farce, quietly and without a sound, came to an end. Lucia slumped back onto the desk as if nothing had just happened. Only I saw it. Before he dropped to the ground, he mouthed two words to me, looking good. I couldn't help but laugh. It was the first genuine smile in days. Teacher Lou, the homeroom teacher, walked in carrying a stack of admission tickets. He stood at the podium and cleared his throat. All right, settle down, everyone. Regarding the exam venue hotel situation, I know there have been some recent frustrations. Here, I just want to emphasize one point. He glanced at Winsheen, then at me. The college entrance exam is your own business. No matter what, you must take responsibility for your choices. Don't let external factors undermine over a decade of dedicated study. That would be too much of a loss for the gain. With that, he began distributing the exam admission tickets. When he called my name, he made a point of walking over to me and personally handed me my ticket. He patted me on the shoulder and said in a low voice, Joe Ran, don't overthink it, just focus on doing your best. I nodded. Thank you, teacher. After collecting our admission tickets, everyone gradually left. When Xin, surrounded by a crowd, passed by me like a proud white swan, she stopped in her tracks and looked down at me. Joe Ran, best of luck to you. Her voice was sickeningly sweet. I hope you can get a good night's sleep in that 150 a night hotel. I looked up at her. You too. Good luck. Hope you don't get stuck in suburban traffic tomorrow morning. Winsheen's expression shifted slightly. She probably never expected that someone as meek and easily pushed around as me would dare to talk back to her face. She snorted coldly, turned on her heel, and walked away. We have a shuttle bus arranged, so there's no need for you to concern yourself. I paid her no further mind. I took out my phone and checked the weather forecast tomorrow. Our city will experience a severe rainstorm. The Meteorological Observatory has issued a red alert. I put my phone back in my pocket and walked out of the classroom. The sky was a dull gray, with dark clouds gathering on the horizon. The air was thick with the scent of an impending storm. Alone, with my backpack, I walked toward the hotel 300 meters from the exam hall. Behind me lay the isolation and alienation of the entire class, yet, in my heart, I felt a peace and resolve like never before. My college entrance exam is my war. From this moment on, it officially begins. I blocked the class group chat, removed all unnecessary contacts. My world has shrunk to just exams and myself. I walked into the hotel lobby, and Zhao Xiaowen and Luja were already waiting for me. Zhao Xiaowen saw me and gave a slightly embarrassed smile. Luja, on the other hand, looked like he hadn't slept at all, constantly yawning. Let's go, let's check out the room first, I said. The three of us, like a strange trio, walked down the empty corridor. I pushed opened my bedroom door. The room was small, but very tidy. Outside the window, directly across the way, was the main gate of No. 7 Middle School. It was right there, within reach. I walked to the window and gazed out at the gradually darkening sky. The phone gave a little vibration. I picked it up. It's the latest update from the weather forecast app. Super Typhoon Messenger made landfall this afternoon. From tonight through tomorrow, our city is expected to experience a once-in-a-century, persistent torrential downpour, which may trigger severe urban flooding. All citizens are urged to take disaster prevention measures and avoid unnecessary travel. I looked at this alert on my phone, then out the window at the oppressive, leaden clouds. The corners of my mouth curled upwards. Involuntarily, bring it on, let the storm rage even more fiercely, for we sat quietly on the sofa in the hotel lobby. Zhao Xiaowen held a book of practice problems, studying it intently. Luja had his headphones on, his fingers flying across the phone screen. He was probably gaming, and I just stared out the window. The sky grew darker and darker. It felt as if someone had slowly draped a massive black cloth over me. Bit by bit, the wind began to howl, whipping the ornamental trees at the hotel entrance until they swayed wildly. A massive storm was brewing. I still have that class group chat saved on my phone. I never left it. I just muted the notifications, almost without thinking. I clicked on it. The group chat was buzzing with activity. When Sheen posted a set of 9 photos in a grid, it showed her cousin's luxurious suite at the suburban hotel, the buffet dinner, and the outdoor swimming pool. In the photo, she and a few girls are wearing beautiful dresses, their smiles bright as flowers. Thanks for the wonderful hospitality, cousin. Everyone, relax and enjoy today, and give it your all on the exam tomorrow. A string of thanks and flattery below. When Sheen is amazing, following you is definitely the right choice. This place is incredible. It's even better than a 5-star hotel. $80 for a place like this. You must be dreaming. Wang Hao was the most enthusiastic. Wenqin, you're our goddess. Lead us to victory. I stared at the chat records, expressionless. I almost felt like laughing. A flock of canaries, caged and pampered, oblivious to the storm brewing beyond their gilded bars. Zhao Xiaowen seemed to notice my gaze and leaned in for a look, her delicate brow furrowed slightly. Are they perhaps a bit too relaxed? I put my phone away and said casually, maybe. Luja took off his headphones at that moment. He stretched, his joints popping with a series of cracks. The suburbs, low-lying area, the drainage system's been neglected for years. He blurted it out, seemingly out of nowhere. Both Zhao Xiaowen and I turned to look at him. He shrugged. I used to live over there. It flooded every summer. At its worst, the water would come up to your thighs. He said it casually, as if it had nothing to do with him. Zhao Xiaowen's face, however, instantly turned pale. Then, what are they going to do tomorrow? Luja glanced at her, his eyes filled with pity. I don't know, that's up to fate. With that, he put his headphones back on and returned to his gaming world. Zhao Xiaowen, however, could no longer focus on her book. She was a bit restless. Zhou Ran, maybe we should remind them. I looked at her and shook my head. Do you think they'll believe it? They'll just think we're jealous, that we're cursing them. Zhao Xiaowen fell silent. She knows I'm telling the truth. In their eyes, the three of us are traitors, outsiders. They're the kind of petty people who can't wait for something bad to happen to them. At 7 in the evening, the hotel restaurant delivered dinner to us, 3 dishes and a soup, balanced with meat and vegetables, light and delicious. The restaurant manager came over specifically to say, the owner has instructed that the 3 examinees are honored guests, and their pre-exam meals must be nutritious and hygienic. We ate our meal in silence. Outside the window, the first bolt of lightning tore through the pitch-black night sky. Then came a deafening clap of thunder. Boom. Huge raindrops pattered heavily against the glass window. The wind howled louder and louder, like the wailing of ghosts and wolves. Zhao Xiaowen instinctively hunched her shoulders. In Luja's game, a defeat sound effect played. For once, he didn't curse, he simply set down his phone and gazed out the window. "It's starting," he said. I set down my chopsticks and walked over to the window. The rain had become a steady downpour. The entire world was enveloped by a vast curtain of rain. Pedestrians on the street screamed and scattered in panic, even at their highest setting. The car's windshield wipers were useless. The roadside sewer grates began gushing murky rainwater like fountains. The water level was rising at a visibly alarming rate. My phone vibrated again. This is the final warning issued by the City Meteorological Observatory. Typhoon Messenger has made direct landfall. The city has activated its highest level flood control emergency response. All public transportation will be suspended at 10:00 p.m. All residents are advised to stay at home and ensure their safety. I forwarded this message to that silent class group. No caption was added. I'm just fulfilling my final duty as class monitor. The group chat fell silent for 3 seconds, then Wenshin's message popped up. It's an eye-rolling emoji. Zhou Ran, are you done yet? Who asked you to come here and spread all this alarmist nonsense? Wang Hao immediately chimed in. Exactly. Who are you trying to scare? We've got a bus here, rain or shine. Li Qian also said. It's hilarious. She couldn't book a good hotel herself, so she's hoping we run into trouble. What a twisted mindset. I looked at their replies and turned off my phone. I've done all I can, the rest I'll leave to fate. That night, I slept exceptionally soundly. The roar of rain, the howl of wind, the crash of thunder filled my ears like a grand symphony. The triumphant overture played for me. 5. I was jolted awake by the insistent ringing of the telephone. It was just beginning to dawn outside. The storm raged on, wind and rain lashing relentlessly, as if the sky and earth had merged into a single, chaotic wash of water. I picked up my phone, and the caller ID showed old Lu, the homeroom teacher. I pressed the answer button. Zhou Ran, where are you right now? It was old Lu's voice, sounding more anxious than ever, even trembling. In the background, there was the clamor of voices and the heavy sound of pouring rain. Teacher, I'm at the hotel, I replied calmly. Hotel, are you okay? Are you safe? I'm doing well. The hotel is right across from the exam venue, just a 5-minute walk away. On the other end of the line, old Lu seemed to let out a long, relieved breath, then his voice broke into a desperate sob. It's over. It's all over, Zhou Ran. Right now, you're the only one near the exam site. I remained silent, listening quietly. When Xian and the others, they're trapped in a hotel out in the suburbs. The road over there is completely flooded. The water is more than a meter deep. Cars can't get through it all. I just got a call from Wenshin's mom. She was crying on the phone, saying the hotel has lost power too, and the signal keeps cutting in and out. Their bus got stuck on the road last night. Old Lu's voice was thick with regret and helplessness. I should have seen it coming. Why didn't I stop them? I failed completely as a homeroom teacher. I remained silent. There was no comfort, and no blame. All of this was their own choice. Teacher, it's too late to talk about this now. I spoke, my voice as cold as ice. The first exam starts at 9 a.m., and no one is allowed to enter after 8:30. It's 6:30 now, so they still have 2 hours. 2 hours. It's too late. Even the rescue teams can't get in. Old Lu's voice completely broke. Zhou Ran. Teacher, I need to ask you for a favor. What's up? You go into the exam hall first. Do your best. You're our class's last hope. The last hope. Those words, coming from old Lu's mouth, were dripping with irony. I understand, teacher. I hung up the phone. The room was quiet. I walked to the window and drew back the curtains. The outside world has turned into an ocean. The road vanished completely, as murky floodwaters engulfed everything, leaving only the tops of cars struggling above the water. 300 meters away, the No. 7 middle school exam site stood like an isolated island, quietly enduring the storm. So close, yet so far. I washed up and got dressed. Zhao Xiaowen and Lu Zhu were also up. The three of us were enjoying a leisurely breakfast at the hotel restaurant. Soy milk, fried dough sticks, and boiled eggs steaming hot. Lu Zhu was scrolling through his phone when he suddenly let out a snort of laughter. He passed the phone around for us to see. It was a live stream of a local news report. A reporter in a raincoat stood waist-deep in water, shouting himself hoarse to report on the disaster, and behind him stood the very suburban resort hotel where Wenshin and the others were staying. The European-style fountain at the hotel entrance has been submerged by the flood. A group of people stood awkwardly on the second-floor balcony, frantically waving their arms. The camera zooms in. I saw Wenshin's face clearly, bare of makeup and filled with terror and despair. Her beautiful dress was now soaked through by the rain, clinging to her in a sodden, disheveled mess. By her side, Wang Hao, Li Qian, and those classmates who had mocked me in the group chat just yesterday all looked like drowned rats. The news headline is eye-catching. Dozens of college entrance exam candidates trapped at a suburban hotel due to heavy rain. Situation critical. Zhao Xiaowen stared at the screen, her lips parting slightly. But in the end, she said nothing. She quietly finished the last Sip of soy milk in her bowl, finished breakfast at 7:30. We put on the disposable raincoats provided by the hotel and opened our umbrellas. Let's go, I said. The three of us stepped into the torrential downpour. The puddle at the hotel entrance only came up to my ankles. We waded through the water, step by step, toward the examination hall 300 meters away. Along the way, I saw many cars stranded on the road. The person inside the car desperately pounded on the window. I also saw several students trying to wade through the floodwaters to get to their exams, only to be held back firmly by their frantic parents. You can't go. It's too dangerous. Cries, screams, and the howling wind and rain all blended together. It was like a mournful dirge for the end of the world, and the three of us were the only ones moving against the tide in all that chaos. At 8 o'clock sharp, we arrived at the entrance of No. 7 Middle School. Police tape had already been strung up across the school gate. Several police officers and teachers were maintaining order. A teacher spotted us and came running over in surprise. Which school are you from? How did you get here? No, one high school, I replied. We're staying at the hotel right across the street. The teacher's face was a mixture of shock and envy. Hurry, get inside. We've been waiting for you. We walked into the examination hall. The campus was nearly empty, with hardly any students in sight. Just then, my phone received a text message. It's from old Lou. I clicked. Joe ran. Just received an emergency notice from the Education Bureau. Except for you, Zhao Xiaowen, and Lu Zhe, all other students in our class were late and have been disqualified from the morning Chinese exam 06. That text message felt like a cold verdict. I stared at every word on the phone screen, feeling nothing inside. They deserve it. Zhao Xiaowen and Lu Zhe received the same message. Zhao Xiaowen's eyes grew red, whether from sympathy or lingering fear. Lu Zhe let out a whistle, his face wearing an expression that said he'd seen it coming. Let's go. It's time to head in. He patted me on the shoulder. We found our exam room according to the information on our admission ticket. When I pushed open the door to the special exam room for Class 3, Senior Year 3, I froze. In the vast classroom, 50 desks and chairs were arranged in neat rows. A familiar name was affixed to each table: Wenxin, Wenhao, Li Qian, and at this moment, the entire classroom was empty except for three people: me, Zhao Xiaowen, Lu Zhe. There were also two proctors with serious expressions. Sunlight streamed in through the glass panes, washed clean by the rain. It cast long, stretched-out shadows across the empty classroom. The atmosphere was profoundly still, almost sacred. 47 empty desks and chairs stood like silent tombstones. 47 ridiculous dreams were laid to rest. The invigilator looked at the three of us, then back at the list in his hand. His eyes were filled with confusion and surprise, but he didn't ask anything, just announced the exam rules in a strictly business-like manner. Please turn off your phones and all electronic devices and place them in the bags at the front. No talking during the exam. No. I sat in my own seat. To my left, there is a warm and empty space. To my right was Wang Hao's empty seat. I could even picture the proud, disdainful sneers they'd be wearing if they were here right now. Too bad they won't get the chance. At 8:30, the warning bell rang. The proctor began distributing the answer sheets and scratch paper. In the vast classroom, the only sound was the rustle of paper. I took a deep breath and inhaled the fresh scent of rain-dampened grass and earth. My heart is at peace like never before. 12 years of relentless study suddenly felt tangible in this very moment. It all came down to this single, flimsy test paper. It all hinged on this 3-hour battle. At 9 o'clock sharp, the bell rang, signaling the official start of the exam. The exam has begun, the proctor's voice echoed through the empty classroom. I picked up my pen and carefully wrote my name on the exam paper. Zhou Ren. The downpour outside the window seems to have eased a little. Through a gap in the dark clouds, a golden ray of sunlight even broke through. I began to answer the questions. The first question is multiple choice, testing character pronunciation. It took me just 1 second to pick the correct answer. My mind was like a high-speed precision instrument. All the knowledge points came to mind with perfect clarity. No more whispers from classmates, no more provocations from Wenxin, no more accusations from parents. My world has shrunk to just these problems and me. Time slips away, second by second. I finished all the basic questions and started writing the essay. This year's essay topic is choice. When I saw this topic, I couldn't help but smile. This topic was practically made for me. Without a moment's hesitation, I picked up my pen and started writing. I didn't write any of those hollow, high-minded platitudes. What I write is me. I wrote a story about responsibility and betrayal. I wrote a story about short-sightedness and foresight. I wrote a story about human nature and choice. I name no one, yet every word alludes to everything that has transpired these past few days. The words I write are calm and objective, yet carry a sharp, chilling edge. Like a scalpel, they slice through all false pretenses, cutting straight to the core of human nature. As I put down the final period, the bell signaling the end of the exam rang out. At that very moment, all candidates, please stop writing. I set down my pen and let out a long, Deep breath, I looked up and happened to meet Luja's gaze. He gave me an okay gesture and smiled like a child. Zhao Xiaowen also gave me a shy smile. The three of us stood up and walked out of the examination room. In the hallway, old Lu stood anxiously waiting. He saw us and immediately came forward to greet us. His eyes were bloodshot, looking as if he hadn't slept all night. How did the exam go? He asked urgently. It was all right, I replied flatly. That's good, that's good. He wrung his hands, hesitating to speak. Teacher, what about them? Zhao Xiaowen couldn't help but ask. Old Lu's face instantly fell. He let out a sigh. The rescue team just arrived, rescued everyone, and is now taking them to the city. However, he paused, his voice heavy with exhaustion. I completely missed the morning exam. Whether I can make it to the math test this afternoon is still up in the air. Failing to take the Chinese exam means losing 150 points from the total score. Their college entrance exams are basically over. 07 lunch break is 1.5 hours. Zhao Xiaowen, Luja, and I walked side by side out of the classroom building. The sky had cleared, the sunlight was dazzling, the air fresh. It was as if the cataclysmic downpour from that morning had been nothing but an illusion, but the vast pools of water on the ground and the faint wail of sirens in the distance reminded us that it was all real. Let's go to the hotel restaurant for dinner, I said. The boss said he's arranged a victory lunch for us. Luja responded with a lazy murmur. Zhao Xiaowen nodded. We had just reached the school gate when a white bus came lurching toward us. The vehicle is caked in mud. Looks like he just crawled out of a mudslide. The car doors swung open. The first person to step out was our homeroom teacher, old Lu. He looked even more haggard than he had that morning. It was as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. Then, the students from our class filed out one by one. Everyone was silent. Each person looked like a dejected, defeated rooster. Their hair was plastered damply against their foreheads. The clothes were crumpled and spattered with mud. Their eyes were vacant, their faces deathly pale. The youthful pride that once shone on their faces had been washed completely away by the downpour. Surrounded by a few other girls, Wenxin was the last to step out of the car. She had changed her clothes, but her face was as pale as the white dress she wore, a frightening, ghostly white. She saw me, standing at the school gate, clean, neat, and calm. It formed a stark and bitterly ironic contrast with their bedraggled group. Her gaze instantly turned venomous. It was a mixture of jealousy, resentment, and a deep, unforgettable hatred. If looks could kill, I'd be dead 100 times over. I did not flinch, but met her gaze calmly. All the other students had noticed me, too. A low murmur began to ripple through the crowd. Look, it's Zhou Ran. How can she act like nothing's wrong? She did that on purpose. She already knew it was going to rain heavily, so she deliberately led us to the suburbs. She's so calculating. It's terrifying listening to those absurd accusations. I could only find them laughable. The torrential downpour didn't just flood the roads, it drowned their reason as well. Wang Hao pushed through the crowd and rushed up to me in a few strides. His eyes were bloodshot, like a bull that had been provoked. Zhou Ran, are you feeling pretty smug right now? He asked through gritted teeth, enunciating each word. I hadn't even opened my mouth. Luja stepped forward, placing himself between me and them. He was taller than Wang Hao, and that alone gave him an imposing edge. Wang Hao, did you fail Chinese so badly you've forgotten how to speak properly? Can Zhou Ran control the weather? Is he supposed to stop the rain? You chose that godforsaken place yourselves to save a few bucks, and now you're blaming others. Have you no shame? Luja's words are always lazy and venomous. A few words left Wang Hao speechless. His face turned a deep purplish red, and his fists clenched so tightly they crackled. Lao Lu hurried over and grabbed Wang Hao. Enough talking. We have a math test this afternoon. To the lounge. Everyone, get to the lounge now. Like a weary shepherd, he herded the lost flock onward. When Xian walked past me, she stopped and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, Zhou Ran, you just wait, you won't get away with this. I looked at her and smiled, always ready to join you. Having said that, I turned away from the chaos and noise behind them. He turned and, with Zhao Xiaowen and Luja, headed toward the hotel across the street, a distance of 300 meters. On one side lies hell, on the other, paradise. The hotel restaurant was heavily air-conditioned. The manager warmly ushered us to a window table, for dishes and a soup were already laid out on the table, sweet and sour pork, steamed sea bass, garlic broccoli, and a mushroom soup, a feast for the senses. The three of us ate quietly. Outside the window stood the shaken students and their harried teacher. I saw several classmates crouched on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably as they broke down emotionally. Several parents also rushed over upon hearing the news, pointing at old Lu's nose and shouting abuse at him. A massive commotion unfolded at the entrance of No. 7 Middle School, and we, separated by just a pane of glass, watched on with cold detachment. They probably won't do well on the math exam this afternoon either, Zhao Xiaowen said softly. Once your mindset collapses, not even a god can save you, Luja said leisurely, picking up a piece of fish with his chopsticks. I took a sip of the soup. It was delicious. That was their own choice, I said. We just need to look after ourselves. At that moment, my heart turned to stone. 08 at 2:30 p.m. We walked back into the examination hall. This time, the Classroom was packed, 50 seats, all filled to capacity, but the atmosphere was even more oppressive and silent than it had been that morning when just the three of us were there. There was a taste of despair in the air. It lay on everyone's heart like a sodden rag. As I walked into the classroom, all eyes once again turned to me. This time, it wasn't just schadenfreude and contempt, but transformed into naked, unvarnished hatred. It was as if I weren't their classmate, but the sworn enemy who had personally ruined their futures. I ignored the stares and walked straight to my seat. When Sheen was already sitting there, she wore light makeup, trying to hide her exhaustion and dishevelment, but her red-rimmed eyes and trembling fingertips gave her away. She lowered her head, pretending to read, but I knew her sidelong gaze clung to me like a serpent. I sat down calmly, took out my stationery, and arranged it neatly. It felt like performing a sacred ritual. The students around me all seemed to be in poor condition. Some were drinking water nonstop, some were massaging their temples with force, others just stared blankly out the window, their eyes vacant. Wang Hao, who had been threatening to beat me just that morning, now lay slumped in his chair like a dog with its spine ripped out. All trace of fighting spirit had vanished from his face, only numbness remained. The warning bell rang, the invigilators entered the room. The same two from the morning session. Their expressions had grown much more serious than they were this morning. They had clearly also learned about what had happened in this class. Please adjust your mindset and prepare for the exam. One of the teachers spoke up, a note of barely perceptible sympathy in their voice. Whatever happened this morning is in the past now. The afternoon math exam is a new beginning. I hope everyone can perform at their best. These words were less an encouragement and more a consolation, but for a dam that has already collapsed, any words of comfort ring hollow. During the distribution of the exam papers, something unexpected happened. Li Qian, the class arts committee member, suddenly let out a loud sob, buried her face in her arms on the desk, and broke into uncontrollable tears. Her sobs acted like a fuse, instantly igniting the classroom's already suffocating tension. A few girls began to sob along with her. The boys were frustrated, slamming their pens and tugging at their hair. The entire examination hall was in chaos. Order, order. The proctor barked a sharp reprimand. Anyone who disrupts exam discipline again will be dealt with as a violation immediately. Li Qian's sobs were abruptly choked back, yet that stifled, despairing sob spread through the air like a virus. I let out a sigh. They had already lost before the war even began. The bell for the official exam rings. I picked up my pen and began to read the question. This year's math problems are quite challenging, especially the last two major questions, which really test logical thinking skills, but I felt more at ease than ever before. My mind was unusually clear and calm. Every formula, every theorem, is etched into my mind, ready to be summoned at a moment's notice. All the surrounding distractions seemed to fade away. The sounds of crying, sighing, and the restless rustling of papers had all faded into distant background noise. In my world, nothing remains but problems and the joy of solving them. Time slipped quietly away as I finished the final step of the last major problem. I glanced at my watch. There were 40 minutes left until the end of the exam. I let out a long sigh of relief and began checking my work from the beginning. I examined everything meticulously, leaving no stone unturned for any potential error. After checking twice, there were still 20 minutes left. I looked up and scanned my surroundings. The sight before me sent a jolt through my heart. Most students were frowning and at a loss, unable to start on the last two big questions. Wang Hao threw his pen down and slumped over the table, seemingly giving up, and Wen Xin, who was beside me, was in an even worse state. Her sketch pad was filled with messy, chaotic drawings. A fine sheen of sweat broke out on his forehead. She bit her lip hard, her eyes brimming with tears. Her once proud and beautiful face was now contorted with anxiety and helplessness. She seemed to sense my gaze, whipping her head around to shoot me a venomous glare. That look seemed to say, "What are you so smug about?" I averted my gaze, my heart undisturbed. I turned in my paper early. The moment I stood up and walked toward the podium, I felt the 49 pairs of eyes in the class piercing my back like arrows. I left the classroom. The hallway was completely empty. The afternoon sun was warm and bright. I took a deep breath. I knew it. My college entrance exam was already half won, but theirs was completely over. 09. I was waiting by the flower bed at the foot of the teaching building for Luzha and Zhao Xiaowen. Luzha emerged just as the closing bell rang. He looked completely at ease, and when he saw me, he even flashed a peace sign. "How's it going?" I asked. The last part of the final big question was a bit tricky, but the rest was a piece of cake. He yawned. "What about you? 20 minutes early, pervert," he remarked succinctly. Zhao Xiaowen emerged a few minutes later. Her face was somewhat pale, and she looked thoroughly drained. "I'm not feeling too great," she said, sounding a bit dejected. I didn't have time to finish the last big problem. "It's okay," I said, patting her on the shoulder. Not many people could have solved it anyway. We were in the middle of a conversation. A flood of students poured out of the classroom building. Our classmates also blended into the crowd and made their way out. Their faces were etched with expressions of utter doom. Outside the examination hall, anxious parents had already gathered in a crowd. When they saw their child looking utterly despondent, a long-suppressed fury erupted in an instant. The first to speak up was Wanghao's mother. She was a stout, middle-aged woman with a booming voice. She grabbed Wanghao just as he stepped out of the school gate, and her eyes welled up the moment she saw his state, but she offered no comfort to her son. Instead, she whipped her head around and, like a radar, locked onto my position in the crowd with pinpoint accuracy. She let go of Wanghao and charged toward me like a runaway tank. Zhou ran. She shrieked my name. "You jinx, you walking disaster." She rushed up to me, pointed her finger in my face, and started screaming, "Our Wanghao is a student athlete, he was a shoo-in for a top-tier university, and now you've ruined everything. Are you happy?" Her voice drew everyone's attention. Parents and students nearby gathered around. I became the eye of the storm. "Auntie, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say whatever you want." I looked at her and spoke calmly. "Wanghao didn't do well on the exam. That's his own problem. What does it have to do with me? None of your business." Wanghao's mother raised her voice another octave. "If you hadn't insisted on booking that crappy hotel at 150 a night, would Wenxin have gone out of her way to find a cheaper place for everyone? Are we going to be stuck out here in the suburbs? Is our Wanghao going to miss his Chinese exam?" This ridiculous attempt to twist the truth made me laugh in sheer disbelief. Is this what they call melodramatic reality? No logic, no reason, only emotion. Other parents also gathered around, launching a verbal assault on me. "Yeah, you're the one, you're the source of it all. Such a young age, yet so cruel-hearted, watching the whole class walk into a fire pit. We've already called the police. We reported you for commercial fraud. Just wait for the cops to come and arrest you." Li Qian's mother was so agitated she tried to step forward and shove me. Lu just stepped in front of me in one swift motion, blocking her. He stared coldly at the group of parents, who were acting like lunatics, a bunch of overgrown babies, who raised a bunch of little babies. He let out a scornful laugh. "You made the choice, own the consequences. How can you still not understand such a simple truth after living half your life, risking your child's future for a few dozen dollars? Do you even deserve to be parents?" His words struck like a sharp knife, piercing the deepest wounds of these parents. A sudden hush fell over the crowd. Just then, when Xin and her mother stepped out from among the people I had seen when Xian's mother before at the parent-teacher conference. She arrived in a red Porsche, dressed in a full Chanel suit, commanding an undeniable presence. She walked up to me and looked down at me. Her gaze was cold, haughty, and filled with disdain. Wenxin hid behind her, clutching her arm with a tearful, pitiful expression. "Mom, please don't blame Zhou Ran. It's all my fault. I was too naive, too eager to save everyone money. I never expected it would rain so hard. I really had no idea." She spoke through her tears. "With acting skills like that, it's a waste of talent not to audition for drama school." Wenxin's mother gently patted her daughter's back, then turned her gaze back to me. "You're Zhou Ran." Her voice was devoid of warmth. "My daughter meant well but ended up causing trouble. She has her share of responsibility, but you, as the class monitor, knew full well that a severe rainstorm was forecast, yet instead of warning your classmates, you stood by and watched them head into danger. Worse still, you posted alarmist messages in the group chat, deliberately spreading panic. Your behavior has gone beyond a simple student conflict." She paused, and each word struck me like an ice pick. "I suspect you're taking malicious revenge, just because when Xin blocked your kickback scheme." I looked at her, watching this mother-daughter duo who invert right and wrong. It suddenly struck me that arguing with them was an insult to my own intelligence. I didn't say a word. I just took out my phone and turned on the recording function. Then I lifted my head, meeting the gaze of Wenxin's mother, and asked slowly, word by word, "Auntie, are you saying that I should bear full responsibility for this natural disaster?" Mother Wenxin's words brought a sudden, 1-second hush to the clamor of the room. Her haughty demeanor made it seem as though she wasn't the one in the wrong, but rather the judge presiding over my trial. I looked at her and smiled. "Auntie, are you saying that I should bear full responsibility for this natural disaster? Is that it?" I repeated the sentence, clearly and deliberately. At the same time, I turned my phone screen to face her. On the screen, the words recording and the pulsing red timer were starkly visible in the sunlight. Wenxin's mother's expression changed in an instant. It was a brilliant expression, shifting instantly from supreme arrogance to sheer panic. Why are you recording?" Her voice, no longer as steady as before, carried a barely noticeable tremor of unease. "It's nothing," I said flatly. "It's just that I found your remarks earlier to be truly brilliant. As an outstanding businesswoman, you've pinpointed the core of the issue with precision. That is to say, I, Zhou Ran, am the sole person responsible for the failure of all 47 students in Class 3, Grade 12. In the college entrance examination, I was afraid my memory might fail me and I'd miss any of your wise words, so I recorded them, so I can revisit and learn from them again and again." My tone was calm and steady, but every word pierced Wenxin's mother's heart like a needle. The parents around us also saw my phone. Their expressions began to grow subtly complex. The previously united front began to show cracks. "Auntie, if you're so sure, then it was me who caused all of this." I took a step forward and looked her straight in the eyes. "Let's walk through the whole thing from start to finish. Let's have the uncles and aunts weigh in and give their opinion. First, it was me, Joe Ran, who spent a whole week running around like crazy to find this Yuan hotel, just 300 meters from the exam site, at 150 yuan per night. Everyone here agrees with that, right? A hush fell over the crowd. A few parents nodded instinctively a second. It was your daughter, Wenxin, who, without any evidence, publicly accused me of taking kickbacks in the class group chat. Wenxin, do you admit to this? I turned my gaze toward Wenxin, who was hiding behind her mother, when Xin bit her lip, her face pale, not daring to look at me. Third, immediately after slandering me, classmate when Xin promptly recommended a hotel in the suburbs run by her cousin, costing 80 a night. Is it unreasonable for me to suspect there might be some kind of kickback scheme involved here? Can I suspect that classmate when Xin is actually the one trying to get a cut of the action? That's a lie. When she finally couldn't hold back and let out a scream, I was just trying to save everyone money. Save money, I let out a cold laugh. To save 70 yuan, spending an extra hour and a half each day commuting, and staking one's future on unreliable transportation. Student Wenxin, you've really got this all figured out, haven't you? Or maybe you already knew your cousin's hotel was nothing but cheap. Wenxin was silenced by me, unable to utter another word, tears welling up and falling again. I ignored her and turned my attention back to her mother. Fourth, and most importantly, on the night before the Gaokao, the city's meteorological observatory issued a red alert for a severe rainstorm. I forwarded the warning to the group chat immediately. I paused, scanning the faces around me, which were beginning to show signs of guilt. So, what exactly were you all doing at the time? Oh, now I remember. You were all mocking me, saying I was being alarmist and had a twisted mind. Your goddess, when Xin even sent an eye-rolling emoji. Wang Hao, I heard your group has a bus that runs rain or shine. I looked at Wang Hao, and he immediately averted his gaze. No, I'd like to ask all of you, which is more significant, natural disasters or man-made calamities? Was my warning not timely enough, or was it the arrogance and stupidity of every single one of you that doomed your children's future with your own hands? My voice grew louder and colder, like a knife. It stripped away everyone's hypocritical facade. A deathly silence fell over the scene. The parents who were just shouting for my head moment ago now hung their heads low, like a group of condemned criminals standing trial. Wenxin's mother's face had turned utterly ashen. Having lived a life of privilege for half her lifetime, she had never suffered such public humiliation before. What a sharp tongue, she hissed through clenched teeth. Even if what you say is true, it doesn't change the fact that you're the one who destroyed our Wenxin. Fine, I nodded. Since you insist on seeing it that way, we'll settle this in court. I shook the phone in my hand. This recording, along with all the chat logs from the class group, I believe, is enough for the judge to determine who is maliciously defaming whom, who is involved in commercial fraud, and ultimately who caused this tragedy. Oh, right, I added. I heard that Wenxin has already received an offer from a prestigious university abroad. Will this criminal record, suspected of commercial fraud, have any interesting effects on her visa? That sentence was the last straw. Wenxin's mother staggered, her body swaying violently. She stared at me, unblinking, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. 11. Fear is a force more powerful than anger. It can shatter all of a person's defenses in an instant. On Wenxin's mother's well-kept face, all color drained away. Her daughter, her pride and joy, is also her greatest vulnerability, and I, with precision, gripped that very vulnerability. She looked at me, her lips trembling, but not a single word could escape them. Behind her, Wenxin was already in tears, trembling from head to toe. The parents around them also saw the shift in the wind. They're not fools. The moment they realized that Aunt Wenxin's ship was sinking, their first instinct was to abandon it. Oh, this is all just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Wang Hao's mother was the first to change her expression, forcing an awkward smile onto her face. Zhou Ran, dear, please don't be angry. Auntie just got a bit flustered. Exactly, we were all just too hasty and spoke without thinking. Li Qian's mother quickly chimed in as well. A massive campaign of condemnation instantly turned into a grand apology session, though the apology sounded so hollow and cheap. Watching their ever-shifting expressions, I felt nothing but disgust. I ignored them. My gaze traveled over the crowd and settled on our homeroom teacher, old Lu. He remained on the outskirts of the crowd, silent, like an outsider. His face was etched with exhaustion and guilt. I put away my phone and stopped the recording. Uncles and aunts, I spoke, my voice regaining its calm. The college entrance exam isn't over yet. Rather than wasting time here blaming each other, you'd be better off going home and comforting your children. Let them, at the very least, finish their final exam, to bring my high school years to a perfect close. With that, I looked at no one else. Let's go, I said to Zhao Xiaowen and Lu Zhe. The three of us turned and walked away, under the weight of everyone's Complicated stares, no one dared to stop us anymore. Behind us, the whole farce continued in its ridiculous fashion. I heard Wenxin's mother's voice, for the first time, take on a shrill, hysterical edge. Zhou Ran, you stop right there, delete that recording. I didn't look back. Luja turned around and flipped her the bird. We returned to the hotel. The cool air from the AC dispelled the oppressive heat and noise of the outside world. The three of us sat on the lobby sofa, none of us saying a word. It was a long time before Zhao Xiaowen finally spoke softly. Zhou Ran, are you really going to sue them? I shook my head. No. Why? She asked, confused. They were so out of line. Because there's no need. I leaned back on the sofa, gazing at the ornate chandelier hanging from the ceiling. For them, failing the college entrance exam is already the harshest punishment. I don't need to do anything more. Life will teach them a lesson on my behalf. And besides, I smiled, keeping that recording is far more useful than deleting it. It will hang over the heads of Wen Xian and her mother like the sword of Damocles. Forever, it will ensure they never sleep soundly again, not for a single night to come. This is more satisfying than any punishment the law could deliver. Luja was off to the side, playing a mobile game, when he suddenly spoke up. I hacked into No. 7 High School's campus network, both Zhao Xiaowen and I looked at him. He didn't even look up. I took a look at the back-end data for this afternoon's math exam. Our class average is 42. That number left us both speechless. Out of 150, the average score is 42. This is no longer just a test, this is a massacre. You, me, and Zhao Xiaowen. Luja continued. The scores of 3 individuals raised the average by 15 points. He finished speaking, looked up at me, and grinned. Team leader, well done. My phone vibrated briefly. It was a text message from old Lu. Zhou Ran, I'm sorry. I failed you as your teacher. I didn't protect you. I looked at that message and deleted it, my face expressionless. Sorry, if sorry fixed everything, what would we need the police for? I stood up and stretched. Come on, let's go back to the room and review for the last exam. Once tomorrow's exam is over, it'll all be finished. Yes, it's all over. Our college entrance exam is about to conclude, yet their lives are just beginning, as they face this trial. 12, the final day of the Gaokao. The test was on integrated science. This is the single subject in the entire college entrance examination that takes the longest time, carries the highest score weight, and most rigorously tests both comprehensive ability and mental fortitude. When I walked back into the examination hall, I could keenly sense the shift in the atmosphere once again. If yesterday afternoon's examination hall was like a powder keg about to explode, the examination hall this morning was like a morgue, silent, oppressive, and thick with the scent of death. 47 examinees, like 47 soulless walking corpses. The expression on their faces was the same kind of numbness, hatred, anger, resentment. All these intense emotions seemed to have been drained away overnight. All that remained was a boundless despair. They couldn't even be bothered to look at me anymore, because they had come to a clear realization. I was no longer from the same world as them. When Xin sat beside me, she's not wearing any makeup today, a plain face, pale as paper. Her eyes were swollen and red, like 2 peaches. The campus belle, who once basked in the spotlight, as proud as a peacock, has vanished without a trace. Instead, there was an ordinary girl, brought back to reality and stripped of her illusions. No, even more down and out than an ordinary girl. She sat motionless, clutching a pen in her hand, her gaze blank and fixed on the space ahead. It was as if all the life had been drained from me. I averted my gaze, no longer paying attention to anyone. The exam had begun. The integrated science paper was, as always, full of challenges, physics calculations, chemical equations, biological genetic maps, like a series of intricate challenges. But I, on the other hand, handled it with ease. My mind, calm and clear, my pen tip glides swiftly across the exam paper. It makes a soft, pleasant rustling sound. That is me, paying tribute to my 12 years of youth. That is me, composing the prologue to my future. Time slips away quietly as the pen glides across the page. I was so absorbed in the world of problem solving that everything else faded away. When I looked up from the final essay question, I witnessed a scene that will stay with me forever. My desk mate, that internet-addicted teenager, Luja, he had finished all the questions and was now fast asleep, face down on the desk, even letting out a soft snore. The other students in the examination room, most people only get as far as the multiple choice and fill in the blank questions. The major essay questions at the end are left almost entirely blank. Some are just spinning their pens, others are simply staring into space. Others simply followed Luja's lead, slumping over their desks in complete surrender. Were they truly incapable of doing it? Perhaps, but more often than not, they had simply lost the will to carry on, missed the Chinese exam, bombed the math test. Their total score was already doomed to be an ugly number. This final exam had lost all meaning to them. All that remains is endless torment. I even saw Wang Hao, the once arrogant sports committee Remember, he was looking at Lucia, who was sound asleep beside him, with a gaze I had never seen before, one that bordered on reverence. It was like gazing upon a deity, a god who can sleep peacefully even in such dire circumstances. Suddenly, it all felt so pointless. I thought this was a war. I had prepared myself for a brutal, bloody fight. But my opponents surrendered and laid down their arms before the battle even began. It left me with a sense of helplessness, like punching a cotton ball. Effort. Without impact, I turned in my exam half an hour early. I didn't wake Lucia. I just gently tapped 3 times on his desk. This is our secret code, meaning, wait outside. I walked out of the exam hall. The sunlight was so bright it was almost blinding. I squinted, gazing at the deep blue sky, and my college entrance exam is over. A few minutes later, the bell signaling the end of the exam rang out across the entire campus. That bell, to me, was the trumpet of liberation. For some in that classroom, it was the death knell of judgment. Students poured out of the school building like a tidal wave. There was no post-exam relief on their faces, only a hollow, deadened bewilderment. I saw Zhao Xiaowen. She ran towards me, a smile on her face. I actually finished, smiling. I gave her a hug. Lucia yawned and walked over. Class monitor, you turned in your paper way too early. I only got 20 minutes of sleep. The 3 of us exchanged a knowing smile. Behind us were the sounds of sobbing, the scolding of parents, and the shattering of dreams. Before us lay sunlight, a clear path, and a future of limitless possibilities. We walked toward the school gate. Old Lou stood at the entrance, watching us, his lips parted slightly, as if he wanted to say something. In the end, he simply bowed deeply to us. I ignored him. We walked right past him without a second glance. We didn't look back, because everything behind us is no longer our concern. My high school years, my youth. At this moment, the curtain falls, and my life is only just beginning. 13. The bell marking the end of the college entrance exam was like a watershed moment. It cleanly divided my life into 2 halves. One half was a gloomy, oppressive past, half is a bright future. As I walked out of the school gate with Zhao Xiaowen and Lucia, I didn't even glance back. That place, filled with farce and betrayal, is not worth a single shred of our nostalgia. Let's go for hot pot, Lucia suggested, yawning lazily. I know a place that does. Amazing tripe. It's on me. Zhao Xiaowen waved her hand awkwardly. Let me handle this. I really owe you all for your help. I smiled and made the decision. Split the bill. Let's celebrate us, survivors of the storm. We found a hot pot restaurant quite a distance from the school. The restaurant was bustling with noise and alive with warmth. It was filled with the uninhibited, celebratory atmosphere that follows the Gaokao exams. We ordered a split pot hot pot. The red chili oil bubbled fiercely, while the clear broth simmered deliciously. Like the 3 of us, our lives are distinct as separate rivers, yet strangely harmonious. Come on, let's check the answers. Zhao Xiaowen took out her phone and exam admission ticket from her backpack, feeling a bit nervous. Estimating your score is the first hurdle after the Gaokao. It's also the most agonizing one. Lucia, however, waved his hand dismissively and dropped a chopstick full of tripe into the pot. What's there to agree with? It's a waste of time. Those answers online were rushed out by training institutions to be first. They're not reliable. He picked up the slightly curled, blanched tripe, rolled it in the garlic-infused oil dip, and popped it into his mouth, a look of contentment. What should we do? Zhao Xiaowen asked, a hint of anxiety in her voice. Wait for the official answer, I guess. But Lucia shifted his tone, smiling mysteriously. I've got it. Both Zhao Xiaowen and I were stunned. Got it. Where'd you get it? The Education Examination Authority's internal network, he said casually, just poked around a bit, and there it was. Zhao Xiaowen and I exchanged a look. We'd almost forgotten that this guy, who looked half asleep, was a top-tier hacker. So, what was the outcome? I asked. I've made rough estimates for both of you. Lucia ordered another plate of beef. Zhao Xiaowen, you did exceptionally well this time. Your approach to the last major question in the science comprehensive exam was basically correct, just a few minor errors in the calculation steps. The total score is roughly between 695 and 700. Zhao Xiaowen's eyes lit up instantly. She covered her mouth in excitement, her eyes glistening with tears. With this score, getting into one of the top 10 universities in the country is a sure thing. As for you, class monitor, Lucia looked at me. I can't really judge your essay, but based on your performance on all the previous questions, out of a total of 750, you should be able to score at least 710. My hand holding the teacup hesitated slightly. 710 points. With this score, I can choose between Tsinghua and Peking University at my leisure. What about you? I asked him. Me. Lucia smiled, revealing his 2 little canine teeth, just a little bit taller than you. I suppose. He didn't mention the exact score, but his utterly unruffled demeanor spoke louder than any number ever could. I smiled from the bottom of my heart. Cheers to our victory. We raised our glasses filled with sour plum soup and gently clinked them together, a crisp sound, like A triumphant anthem. We ate while talking about college and the future, chatting about light and pleasant topics. No one ever brought up those classmates or those events again. It's as if they have vanished completely from our world. Halfway through the meal, Luja's phone rang. He picked it up, glanced at it, frowned, and hung up immediately. But soon, the phone rang again. He answered impatiently and switched to speakerphone. Hello. From the other end of the line came the weary, raspy voice of their homeroom teacher, old Lou. Luja, it's me, Teacher Lou. What is it? Luja's tone was icy. So, the class is planning to hold a thank you dinner for our teachers, next Saturday. No, Luja cut him off sharply. Come on, we've been classmates for so long, soon we'll all be going our separate ways. This is our last get-together. Lao Lu was still earnestly trying to persuade him. Teacher, I have a question for you. Luja said suddenly. What did you say? If, and I mean if, this time, the only ones trapped in the suburbs were me, Zhou Ran, and Zhao Xiaowen. The other 47 individuals all successfully took the exam. Will you still be organizing this farewell dinner for the teacher? On the other end of the line, there was a long, deathly silence. Luja let out a sneer. You see, you already know the answer yourself, so leave us alone. With that, he hung up the phone and casually added Lao Lu's number to his blacklist. The hot pot restaurant was still bustling, but our table fell silent. I silently placed a piece of shrimp paste, her favorite, into Zhao Xiaowen's bowl. Go ahead and eat. A full stomach gives you the strength to walk the road ahead. Yes, our journey has only just begun, but their road has already come to an end. 14. The days after the college entrance exam are like a world of ice and fire for me, Zhao Xiaowen, and Luja. It was an unprecedented sense of relaxation and comfort. We threw away all our textbooks and exam papers. During the day, Lu took us to his usual internet cafe and taught us how to play games. That evening, Zhao Xiaowen took us to the library to browse all sorts of novels and light reading. We were like three fish, freed from our bonds, swimming with abandon in the ocean of liberty. As for the rest of the class, every day of waiting for the scores feels like a slow, torturous execution. I never logged into that so-called class group again. But Luja treated the group messages like his daily dose of entertainment. The day the official answer key was released, the group went completely wild. The first to erupt was Wang Hao's mother. She sent a long voice message in the group chat, her voice so sharp it felt like it was piercing the eardrums. 62 in math, 98 in science. Look at this. This is my son's score. He's a sports specialty student. His academic performance is way better than this. It's over. It's completely over. I won't even make the first-tier university cutoff. Her scream was like a bomb. It instantly ignited the anger and despair of all parents. Our family isn't much better. I barely passed math. Looks like I'm stuck going to a junior college now. It's all Wen Xian's fault. It's her. She's ruined our child's entire life. The spearhead, in an instant, was precisely directed at the goddess they had once elevated to a pedestal, at Wenxin's mom. Come out. Give us an explanation. Your daughter's off to enjoy life abroad. What about our kids? You must take responsibility. You must compensate us for our losses. Public outrage is running high. Those once fawning faces now look more hideous than demons. When Shin's mother initially tried to take control of the situation, she sent a huge red packet with the note, the kids didn't do well on their exams, and I'm feeling sad too. Take this money and buy something nice for your kids. However, this red packet became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Who wants your filthy money? Do you really think money can buy back my son's future? Hypocrisy. Disgusting. Wang Hao's mother was the first to speak up, her words sharp and impassioned. Listen here, Wen Xian's mother, this isn't over. I'll see you in court. When Xian's mother had finally been pushed too far, she abandoned all pretense of her usual elegant, high society demeanor. Mrs. Wang, you need to get your facts straight. You were the ones who came begging to book my brother's hotel in the first place. My daughter was just trying to help out of the goodness of her heart. Not only are you ungrateful, but now you're turning around and blaming her. Your child failed the college entrance exam because of their own lack of skill and poor mindset. What does that have to do with our Wenxin? A full-blown brawl had officially begun. The once unbreakable alliance of interests crumbled instantly in the face of harsh reality. Parents split into factions, attacking and insulting each other in the group chat. Spill the tea, spill the beans. The scene was utter chaos, and the language used was so foul it was downright appalling. Luja looked on, murmuring in amazement. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, more dramatic than any palace intrigue drama I've ever seen. Amidst the chaos, Mr. Lu, the homeroom teacher, sent his final message in that role. It was a lengthy letter of apology. In the letter, he took full responsibility upon himself. He said it was his failure to provide proper guidance. He admitted to turning a blind eye to the toxic culture in the classroom. He had betrayed the trust of all the parents and students. At the end of the letter, he announced that he had submitted his resignation to the school. After the message was sent, the group fell into an eerie silence for a few seconds, then came an even fiercer wave of public condemnation directed at old Lou. No one felt sorry for him, they simply believed his resignation was an act of fleeing from justice. I stared at the phone screen, filled with nothing but ugliness and depravity. In my heart, there was not a shred of satisfaction, I only felt a profound sense of sorrow. That's human nature for you. People chase gain and avoid loss, twisting right and wrong. In the face of a massive loss of profit, all warmth and decency proved fragile and easily shattered. Zhao Xiaowen had seen enough. Don't look anymore, she whispered. Let's go for a walk. I nodded and turned off my phone. We walked along the street at dusk. The afterglow of the setting sun stretched our shadows long. So long, Zhou ran. Zhao Xiaowen suddenly asked me, "Do you hate them?" "I've been thinking about it. For a long time." Then, he shook his head. "I don't hate you anymore." "Why?" "Because it's not worth it." Yes, not worth it, to waste even a fraction of my emotions on a group of people who are about to completely disappear from my life. None of it is worth it. Before me lies the sea of stars. As for them, they deserve to rot in the quagmire of the past. 15. The day the scores came out, the weather was exceptionally clear, yet the atmosphere in my home was even more tense than on the day of the college entrance exam. My mom got up at the crack of dawn and made me an absolutely extravagant breakfast, 2 fried eggs and 1 youtiao, symbolizing a perfect score. My father was restless, pacing back and forth in the living room. Every so often, I'd glance at the wall clock. Ran, are you sure about this?" he asked cautiously. I smiled, finishing the last sip of soy milk in my bowl. "Don't worry, Dad, this time, we've got it in the bag." At 10 a.m., the score-checking portal officially opened. Sure enough, the website crashed instantly due to the overwhelming number of visitors. On the screen, only a spinning chrysanthemum icon remains. My dad was even more anxious than I was, constantly refreshing the page. My mother clasped her hands together, murmuring prayers under her breath to some unknown deity. I leaned back on the sofa, took out my phone, and sent a message to Lucia. "The site's down." He replied instantly, "No surprise there, I've already logged in through the back and your score is out." My heart, in that moment, skipped a beat against my will. What is it? 715 points, Chinese 132, Math 148, English 145, Science Composite 290. A string of clear numbers appeared on my phone screen. I looked at that total score of 715 and let out a long, deep sigh of relief. It's 5 points higher than I estimated. Me. Zhao Xiaowen's message popped up too. Apparently, the two of them were chatting too. Zhao Xiaowen, 698 points, replied Lucia. Zhao Xiaowen sent a string of excited screaming emojis. "What about you, Mr. Top Scholar?" I teased. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds, then Lucia sent a screenshot. "That's his grade inquiry page name. Lucia, total score, 742." Below, there is another line of text in red, bold font. "Congratulations. You are the top scorer in the science stream of this year's college entrance examination in our city." Zhang Xiaowen and I both sent a string of ellipses in the group chat. The result, though expected, but seeing it with my own eyes, was still utterly breathtaking. 742 points, a score that's almost godlike. Right at that moment, my dad suddenly let out a shout. "It's out, Ran, it's out." I looked up and saw, at last, my grades displayed on the computer screen. 715 points. My father stared at that number for a good 10 seconds or more, then he suddenly turned his head, looked at my mom, and his eyes instantly turned red. "Sweetheart, our daughter scored 715. My mom rushed over too, staring at the screen and bursting into tears of joy. The two of them clung tightly to each other, laughing and crying all at once, like two children. I looked at them, and my eyes grew warm. 12 years of hardship, 12 years of dedication. At this moment, the perfect reward finally arrived. My phone started ringing off the hook right away. Relatives, friends, and my parents' colleagues. Everyone called to offer their congratulations. My phone was also flooded with countless congratulatory messages. Among them, one was from an unfamiliar number. "Zhou Ran, this is the Dean of Studies from No. 7 High School. First of all, congratulations on your outstanding results. Also, the city's television station would like to do a special interview with this year's top scorer and high-achieving students. I was wondering if you and Lucia would be interested in participating." A TV interview. I was taken aback for a moment. Right after that, Lucia's message came through. Monitor. The TV station contacted me. They asked if I wanted to bring my two partners in misery on the show. What do you think? I didn't have a chance to reply yet. He sent another screenshot. It was from the class group chat that had been quiet for days. Someone had posted a statistical table of the whole class's grades. The data on that table was shocking. There were 50 students in the class, apart from the three of us. When XIN scored 583 points under normal circumstances, that would be considered a pretty good score, but at this moment, it felt utterly ironic. Even worse off were Weinhao and his group. Most people's total scores hover between 3 and 400 points. Even the second-tier university admission line seems out of reach. That form was like a death sentence. It was the final, total, and utter defeat of Class 3, Grade 12. Once a top-tier class beneath the table, there was a deathly silence. No one spoke. All the arguments and insults lose their meaning in the face of cold, harsh scores. I looked at the form, then back at the message Lucia had sent, going, on TV. The corner of my mouth slowly curved into a smile. I typed 2 words and sent them. Let's go. Why wouldn't we? This grand drama has reached its climax as the protagonists. How could we possibly miss the final curtain call? 16. The TV studio was colder than I had imagined. The air conditioning was cranked up to the max overhead. A dense cluster of spotlights stared down like the eyes of monsters. Both Zhao Xiaowen and I felt a bit awkward. This is the first time in our lives that we've been in front of a camera. Only Lucia still looked like he hadn't fully woken up. He even dozed off twice while putting on his makeup. The makeup artist's sister looked at him with a mix of exasperation and overflowing maternal affection. This child has such flawless skin. Is this how all top scholars carry themselves? With such disregard for propriety, a woman in a sharp suit, who looked like a director, walked over. She held a script in her hand, wearing a professional smile. Are you 3 students ready? I'm Wang Bing, the host for this exclusive interview. She spoke rapidly, yet her enunciation was clear. The interview is about to begin. Everyone, relax. Just treat it like a casual chat, especially you, Lu, she said, turning to Lucia. As the main character, you'll get more screen time. Lucia yawned and nodded. Got it. We were led to the center of the studio, 3 white bar stools, across the way. 3 dark, unblinking cameras stared back. Wang Bing sat across from us, smiling warmly. 3, 2, 1, action. A crew member wearing a headset made a signal. The spotlight flashed on instantly. My eyes instinctively squinted. It felt as if the whole world had shrunk down to just the 4 of us. Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to this episode of Top Scholar Face to Face. Wang Bing's voice, amplified by the microphone, took on a particularly resonant quality. Today, we are truly honored to welcome this year's citywide science stream Gaokao top scorer, Lucia. The camera focused on Lucia. He waved lazily at the camera. Hello everyone, I'm Lucia, and his 2 classmates, Zhou Ran and Zhao Xiaowen, who also achieved outstanding results. The camera panned across me and Zhao Xiaowen. I gave a polite nod towards the camera. Zhao Xiaowen, looking a bit nervous, pursed her lips. Classmate Lu, 742 points. That's a truly astonishing score. Wang Bing's eyes sparkled with excitement. Could you share your study secrets with us? This is the most routine and most boring question. I thought Lucia would say a few polite words, but he didn't. He thought for a moment, then answered seriously. The secret is to sleep in class. The studio was silent. Even Wang Bing's professional smile froze for a second. Sleep. Yes, Lucia said with a sincere expression. Getting enough sleep is more important than any tutoring class. A well-rested mind is a sharp mind. Take me, for example. The night before the college entrance exam, I got a full 10 hours of sleep. I even dozed off for 20 minutes during the science section. Wang Bing was struggling to maintain a neutral expression. She let out a couple of dry, forced laughs. You're quite the comedian, Lu. So, besides sleeping, is there anything else, like an error correction notebook or something? Oh, that, Lucia said with a look of utter disdain. Too much trouble. If you got a question wrong, why not just understand it on the spot instead of copying it again? A waste of time, a waste of ink, and a waste of paper. Not environmentally friendly. Wang Bing, sitting beside them. I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. This guy is here to cause trouble, isn't he? Wang Bing took a deep breath, clearly giving up on extracting any positive and uplifting study methods from Lucia's mouth. She turned her sights on us. Zhou Ran, Zhao Xiaowen, as classmates of the top scorer, do you often feel a lot of pressure? I shook my head. No pressure. Lu keeps a low profile and spends most of his time sleeping. We're just each studying at our own pace. So, about this year's college entrance exam, I heard there was a bit of an incident in your class. Wang Bing finally asked the most pointed question, the one we'd all been hoping she would ask. Her eyes held a look of curiosity and gossip. We are aware that our city was hit by a once-in-a-century torrential downpour during the 2 days of the national college entrance exams. Many examinees were affected, yet the 3 of you managed to complete the exam smoothly and achieve such outstanding results. Is there a special story behind this? It's here, I thought to myself. The final judgment has arrived. I didn't answer right away. I glanced at Zhao Xiaowen and Lucia beside me. They all gave me an encouraging look. I turned my head and looked back at the camera, looking toward the familiar yet unfamiliar faces gathered before the television, perhaps watching. I spoke calmly, my voice quiet but clear enough for everyone to hear. Actually, There's nothing special about the story. There is but one choice. The college entrance exam tests more than just textbook knowledge. It's more like a microcosm of life. At every critical juncture, you are faced with countless choices. Some choices may seem tempting, full of shortcuts. Some choices may seem clumsy at first, requiring more effort and persistence from you. The three of us simply followed the most fundamental values in our hearts when faced with the same choice before the college entrance exam. That means staying grounded and taking responsibility for yourself. We chose the hotel closest to the exam venue because it minimizes all potential uncertainties. We choose to trust common sense in weather forecasts, rather than rely on luck. We choose to trust our own judgment, rather than being swayed by outside voices. So here we are today. It's not because we're smarter than others, nor is it because we're luckier, simply because we made the choice we believed to be right, and we put in the effort we should have, and received the rewards we deserved for our choices. I'm done speaking. The studio remained completely silent. Wang Bing looked at me, his eyes filled with admiration and awe. She didn't seem to expect that an 18-year-old girl could say something like that, calm, restrained, yet brimming with power. I'm not blaming anyone. I am not accusing anyone of anything. I was merely stating the simplest, yet most brutal, truth. Life is the sum total of a continuous series of choices, and you must bear the consequences of every single choice you make. 17. That interview program aired during prime time that very evening, and it will be replayed repeatedly over the next 3 days. Luge's sleep learning method became the talk of the town. Countless parents, staring at their children who stay up late studying, pose the ultimate existential questions. Look at the top scholar. Everyone says he gets plenty of sleep. My segment on choice was edited by the City Education Channel into a standalone short video. Title: The Off-Screen Test of a Top Scorer. The short video quickly went viral across major online platforms. The number of views soared past 1 million overnight. The comments section below is full of all kinds of opinions. This young lady is no ordinary girl. She speaks with such finesse, flawless and precise. Stay grounded and take responsibility for yourself. That's so well said. Now that's what a true top student looks like. I think I heard something about their class. Apparently, the whole class got scammed by a rich second-generation campus beauty. Spill the tea. I've got my popcorn ready. Head to the 20th High School BBS, this year's blockbuster, more thrilling than any TV drama. Public opinion has swung decisively in our favor. The three of us became the very embodiment of rationality, steadiness, and foresight. Meanwhile, the rest of Class 3, Grade 12 were nailed to the pillar of shame, branded as foolish, short-sighted, and greedy for petty gains. Luge immediately forwarded the link to that short video to the class group chat and mentioned all members. Then he sent a message: learn from this. It was a kind of condescending, merciless mockery, delivered with the smug superiority of a top scholar. The class group, quiet for days, suddenly exploded again, but this time, it was no longer about attacking each other, but rather, a silence so profound it felt like death. No one dared to speak. That link landed like a resounding slap across everyone's face. The sting was sharp and humiliating. It finally dawned on them how utterly ridiculous and foolish their past actions must have appeared to any outside observer. They became the laughingstock of the entire city. After what felt like an eternity, there was finally some movement in the group chat. When Xian has left the group, immediately after, Wang Hao has left the group, Li Qian has left the group chat, one after another. Those once arrogant names quietly vanished from the group member list, like a group of defeated deserters. In the end, only the three of us remained in the group, and then there's one person who never changed their group nickname from start to finish, Mr. Lu, the homeroom teacher. Luja glanced at the empty group chat and whistled. That's so lame, just running off like that. I thought they would put on a few more shows. Zhao Xiaowen lifted her phone and spoke softly. I heard, Wenxin's offer to study abroad has been cancelled. Really? Luja's interest was piqued. One of her classmates mentioned it, that school places a high value on students' character, and our interview video was translated into English and sent to the school's official email. Due to the severe negative social repercussions, the university initiated an investigation and subsequently revoked her admission. I sipped my yogurt, saying nothing. This outcome was right in line with my expectations. In the internet age, there are no secrets. If you want to stand in the spotlight and enjoy the flowers and applause, you must be prepared for that same spotlight to illuminate all your flaws and ugliness. When Xian, clearly, was not prepared for this, she thought money and family background could solve everything, but she forgot that there are some things in this world that money simply cannot buy. For example, reputation. Take the human heart. For instance, my phone rang again. It was an unknown number, with a local area code. I answered it. From the other end of the line came a woman's voice, a sharp, hysterical scream. Zhou Ran, it's you. This is all your fault. She's Wenxin's mom. You've ruined my daughter. You've ruined her entire life. I won't let you off. Even if I have to ruin myself, I'll make you pay. I listened quietly. When she finally ran out of steam and was breathing heavily, I slowly began to speak, uttering only a single sentence. Auntie, I still haven't deleted that recording from the other day. The line went silent instantly. All that remained was the heavy, ragged sound of breath, choked with anger and fear. I didn't give her another chance to speak. I simply hung up the phone, and I blocked that number. The price, you have already paid the most terrible price, and I don't even have the slightest interest in looking at you. Outside the window, the sunlight is just right. I see a few children blowing bubbles in the little garden downstairs. The colorful bubbles rise, swirl in the sunlight, and then gently pop. It's just like a brief, splendid dream. 18. The day to submit our college applications arrived before we knew it. Zhao Xiaowen, Lucia, and I arranged to meet at our usual library. Warm sunlight streamed in through the huge floor-to-ceiling window. The air was filled with the scent of books and ink. Each of us had a laptop, logged into the college application system. Have you decided where you're going? I asked. Zhao Xiaowen adjusted her glasses and said, a little embarrassed, I want to go to Shanghai. I've looked into it. Fudan's clinical medicine program is the best in the country. I want to be a doctor. This was the first time I'd heard her talk about her dream. I looked at her, genuinely happy for her. Great, being a doctor is a noble profession. And you, class president? Lucia asked me. I thought about it. I want to go to Beijing, Tsinghua University's School of Economics and Management. I'm quite interested in finance. Vulgar, Lucia remarked succinctly. And what about you, top scholar? I retorted. Which prestigious school are you heading to continue your grand career of sleeping? He smiled mysteriously, a place none of you would ever expect. He turned the laptop toward us. On the screen were the college preferences he had already submitted. First choice, boldly written, University of Science and Technology of China, School of Young Scholars, Quantum Information major. Both Zhao Xiaowen and I were stunned. USTC, in Hefei. Yeah, why? Zhao Xiaowen asked, puzzled. With your scores, you could get into any top program at Tsinghua or Peking University. Lucia stretched and leaned back in his chair. Tsinghua and Peking University, they're just too boring. A group of refined self-interested individuals scrambling to climb the social ladder. Boring. USTC is different. For the first time, a light of passion sparkled in his eyes. There, you'll find a group of true geniuses and true madmen. They care neither for fame and fortune nor for worldly matters. All they care about is what lies at the edge of the universe. I'd like to go take a look. I looked at him, unable to speak for a long time. It suddenly dawned on me. Zhao Xiaowen, and him. In the end, we were just not the same kind of people. Zhao Xiaowen and I studied hard to get into a prestigious university. It's about fitting into this world more seamlessly. And Lucia, he aimed to create a new world entirely his own. We are extraordinary, ordinary people, but he was the real genius. All right, I said with a laugh. I wish you an early glimpse of the edge of the universe. And so we remained, on that quiet afternoon, typed the few words that would decide the next 4 years of our lives, and possibly the rest of our lives. Beijing, Shanghai, Hefei, 3 cities, 3 distinct futures. We are about to go our separate ways, but we all know that the friendship between us will not change because of distance. Half a month later, I received my acceptance letter, a purple envelope from Tsinghua University. Above, in the principal's own handwriting, were the words, Tsinghua will be your lifelong pride. My parents held that acceptance letter, turning it over and over in their hands. The smiles on their faces were brighter than the summer sun. They decided to throw a grand celebration banquet for my university admission, invite all the relatives and friends. I didn't refuse. I know this isn't just my honor, it's also the proudest medal they've earned. After a lifetime of hard work, the day before the graduation banquet, I got a call from old Lu. His voice sounded much older. Zhou ran. Congratulations. Thank you, teacher. I replied politely. Are you free tomorrow? He asked hesitantly. The class wants to organize another teacher appreciation banquet. It's kind of a farewell to everyone. I fell silent. Teacher, I said calmly, I don't think that's necessary anymore. What needed to be said goodbye to has long since been said goodbye, and we're going to embrace a new beginning. I hung up the phone without waiting for his reply. I don't want to have anything to do with the past anymore. The following day, my college celebration banquet was held at the finest hotel in the city. The house was filled with distinguished guests, creating a lively and bustling atmosphere. I stood on stage wearing the new dress my mom bought for me, looking out at my family and friends in the audience, applauding and beaming with pride for me. My heart is filled with gratitude. Just then, an unexpected figure appeared at the hotel entrance. It's Wang Hao. He came alone, wearing a faded t-shirt. He looked noticeably thinner and much more tanned. He didn't come in, just stood At the doorway, watching me from a distance, his gaze was complex. Our eyes met in the air for a second. He bowed to me awkwardly, then he turned and vanished into the crowd. I was taken aback for a moment, then smiled with a sense of relief. It seems the school of life has already begun teaching its first lesson to some, and my university, my new life, is also about to officially kick off. That's great. Story 2. Before the company's IPO, an intern suggested serving milk tea to our foreign guests. My boyfriend remarked, "That's quite creative. Don't always shoot down fresh ideas from newcomers. Is this really how interns get treated these days?" The shareholders chimed in, "Milk tea is so down to earth. Our investors aren't royalty, you know." Solid proof of workplace manipulation. That VP is seriously messed up. I didn't say a word, but quietly swapped it for black tea and a fruit platter before the meeting started. I'm publicly calling out Elaine. She's utterly unfit to be a female executive. The project succeeded, yet she went live online, tearfully accusing me of bullying her and stealing the credit. Sounds like sour grapes to me. My boyfriend stayed silent. Bullet comments flooded with ridicule, and trending searches exploded. Elaine, get out of the workplace. I had just finished an overtime meeting that evening when I opened Weibo and saw myself trending at #1. I died from a bucket of gasoline. My mother passed away from a heart attack, and my father was hit by a car with no one daring to help. It was my birthday that day. Given a second chance at life, I simply nodded. All right, don't forget to add extra sugar. I opened my moments, and a new post popped up. Then I turned around, switched jobs, and took all the investments with me. Adrian updated his status. Chapter 1. May every hardworking intern be spared from being trampled underfoot with malice. I don't think we need to be overly formal with this foreign delegation. The accompanying image showed a cup of bubble tea in Serena's tear-swollen eyes. Serena spoke softly, standing before the conference table with a tablet in hand, dressed in white. Her gaze was clear and direct. I texted back, "What are you trying to say?" Trendy local brands like bubble tea shops strike the right balance. They're relaxed yet distinctive, perfectly capturing our company's youthful energy. He replied with, "Figure it out yourself." As she spoke, she clicked through the slideshow. Images of takeout bubble tea flashed across the screen, paired with cupcakes and cookies, looking like a promotional ad for office afternoon tea. Another voice message came through, icy and devoid of emotion. I stared at the screen, my face a mask of neutrality, but beneath the table, my fingertips slowly curled into a tight fist. "Elaine, I don't think this is working out between us. I had attended this very meeting in my previous life." I rushed to his office like a madwoman, desperate to ask him, what did I do wrong? When she mentioned the bubble tea, I immediately objected, pointing out that several senior executives had diabetes or dairy allergies, making it unsuitable. Her eyes instantly welled up with tears. "Does Miss Elaine not like me very much?" He sat at his desk, expressionless. "The project is already a success. Serena is well prepared. The company now needs a figurehead executive, not someone with all these emotions." My boyfriend Adrian shot me a cold look and said, "Elaine, don't be so petty." A symbol. I gritted my teeth. "Are you saying my 5 years of building this company with you just turned me into a symbol?" After the meeting, she went live in tears, accusing me of throwing my weight around and stealing her proposal. That video racked up over 1 million likes. "Can you calm down?" He snapped impatiently. "Look at yourself. You're acting like a shrew." Later, when the company's project succeeded, I was the one who actually made it happen, but she stole all the spotlight. That day I got fired, when they literally threw the termination letter in my face, and I ended up being labeled as the toxic female exec who stifles creativity. I became the poster child for workplace toxicity in the news, with media outlets spreading lies about my messy personal life, exploiting subordinates, and being a menopausal control freak. Then came Adrian's breakup, the company's purge, the overwhelming cyberbullying, and that can of gasoline. Someone went to my hometown, filmed a vlog at my mother's hospital, and said, "What kind of decent person could come from a family like this?" I died disfigured beyond recognition in the flames. My father tried to stop them but couldn't, and he was so enraged that he suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and collapsed at the doorstep. My father collapsed on the spot while collecting my remains and died from a brainstem hemorrhage. The day I was doused with gasoline was the 27th of the 12th lunar month. Right before the new year, my mother suffered a sudden heart attack. Upon reading that line on the cremation certificate and was found lifeless by neighbors, I was cornered at the entrance of an old warehouse, where a crowd called me a capitalist lackey and an accomplice to the oppression that drives young people to their deaths. They pinned me to the ground and poured half a bucket of gasoline on me, and there she was, Serena, taking everything I had, striding up to the podium in her custom haute couture, saying, "Thank you, Miss Elaine, for teaching me how to navigate the workplace. Are you the one who killed Serena?" I was reborn. How dare you still show your face? Reborn right into this very meeting, where she opened her mouth again, suggesting we serve milk tea to the foreign guests. I struggled and screamed, "You're all insane. She's not dead. She's playing you." I stared at the corner of her mouth. No one believed it. That faint, elusive smile. Burn it all. She thought I would step in to stop her. Just like I did in our previous life, someone lit the fire, but this time, I didn't bat an eye as the flames consumed me. The only thing I remembered was wearing that new beige trench coat I'd bought. "I think it's great," I cut in with a smile, interrupting her report. "Bubble tea is youthful, trendy, and creative. Serena put a lot of thought into this. My mother had scrimped and saved to buy it for my birthday." She froze a second before it got charred. My phone screen lit up. An eerie silence fell over the meeting room. That was the last voice message my dad sent. I continued, "When hosting leadership, we should naturally showcase our unique style. Sweetheart, Dad's here to pick you up." Adrian glanced at me, a slight upturn at the corner of his mouth, as if he'd finally witnessed me acting sensibly, but he never made it in time. "Since Miss Elaine put it that way, we'll go with your proposal," he said. He was killed instantly when a car running a red light struck him on his way over. Everyone nodded in agreement, chiming in with their approval. My mother, upon hearing news of my death, locked herself in her room that very night, slit her wrists, and lay down in the bathtub, never to wake again. The younger generation's ideas are truly impressive. On the day of the cremation, no one dared to claim my body. Let's not always stick to those traditional English afternoon tea routines. The body was sent to the funeral home, and 3 days later, it was collectively transported for cremation by the Civil Affairs Bureau. Right. Who doesn't love bubble tea? They said. Unclaimed bodies don't need names. I scanned the faces of these old friends seated around the conference table, the same people who'd thrown me to the wolves in our previous venture, all while claiming it was for the company's good. Serena's tearful livestream went viral with millions of views, making her the poster child for victims. "This time, I'll let you stew in your own juice." Adrian took over the company, vowing to purge the corrupt executives. I stepped out, picked up my phone, and dialed a number. The entire internet is slamming me, saying I deserve to die and had it coming. "Mr. Marcus," I said softly, "that offer you made earlier, the generous salary, equity stake, and decision-making authority to poach me, does it still stand?" My death was utterly meaningless. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line, followed by a hearty laugh. "Absolutely, Elaine. If you're ready to make the move, I'll welcome you with open arms anytime." Now that I've been reborn and returned, I hear her say those words once more. "Good. Let's discuss the terms of our collaboration then. I suggest serving milk tea to the foreign guests." Chapter 2. I looked at her, smiled, and said, "Sounds good. Let's do it that way." In her previous life, Serena also stood at the center of the conference room. Chapter 3. Dressed in a white dress with her hair in a ponytail, she held a tablet and delivered a whole set of bubble tea marketing theories. Her smile innocent and her voice gentle. "Miss Elaine, are you sure you don't want to attend such an important briefing?" I couldn't help but remind her, "The people we're hosting are executives from domestic and international corporations, not Billy content creators." My secretary Maya stopped me, her arms laden with a thick stack of documents. She paused, pursed her lips slightly, and lowered her voice a little. "Does Miss Elaine not like me very much?" I stood calmly in my black trench coat and replied, "Didn't Serena say she wanted to lead a formal reception? Let this be her practice run." Adrian sat beside her and retorted coldly, "Are you targeting her?" Maya gave me a complicated look and lowered her voice. "Mr. Adrian has been promoting her way too obviously. People are whispering that you might be sidelined." I was taken aback. I smirked. "Sidelining me? He'd better check if he's got what it takes first." He said, "You're just jealous because she's young, articulate, and well liked." I pushed the door open and walked into the conference room. The conference room fell silent as other shareholders chimed in one after another. "What's wrong with young people having creative ideas? We older generations simply don't understand their world." Serena was already standing in the center, dressed in a light pink professional outfit, holding a notebook. She spoke softly. "This is a crucial opportunity for us to connect with D Group's top executives. I've outlined the specific hospitality plan. Please review it, everyone." In that moment, it all clicked. The first slide of the PPT features a prominent headline. "Even when you're right, if you don't look delicate and helpless or know how to play the victim, no one will take your side. Creative reception concepts inspired by Gen Z." But she would, below it, an eye-catching large bubble tea logo graphic. That night, she went live. I planned to set up a self-service bubble tea station during the reception break, offering flavors like jasmine green tea, cheese peach oolong, and full cup ruby grapefruit, with customizable sweetness levels. For snacks, we'll serve molten lava cakes and candied orange peel to showcase our team's vibrant energy. Titled. She glanced back at me as she spoke, with a tone that hovered between showing off and testing the waters. #crying from workplace bullying. Sitting in the back row, I sipped warm water unhurriedly while flipping through documents, sitting in her rented apartment with half-soaked clothes and red-rimmed eyes. She deliberately chose a dim, shabby backdrop. Through tears she said, a senior executive at Group D just entered stage 3 diabetes. Do you plan to label the sugar content on your milk tea? I suggested serving bubble tea to foreign delegates, and the deputy CEO publicly called me an idiot. Why can't young professionals have creative ideas? I remarked flatly without looking up. The live stream chat just exploded. Serena paused for a moment, then immediately replied, we could just order sugar-free versions, sugar-free milk tea with sweetened base powder, whipped sweet cream foam. Are you really going to explain each ingredient to them one by one? The project liaison is the Singapore branch. Their culture leans Western. Do you really think they'd appreciate your fruit syrup dessert? I'll make sure to emphasize that in the report, she said stiffly. Besides, not every foreign guest declines milk tea. We could always prepare 2 options. Serena's preparations are quite thorough already. There's no need to constantly undermine a newcomer. Adrian cut me off, his tone clearly biased in her favor. I gave a faint smile and glanced up at him. So what does Miss Elaine think? Serena bit her lip, looking at me with pleading eyes. I looked at her and slowly smiled. My opinion is, I glanced around the room, speaking gently, the proposal is excellent and very innovative. If no one has any objections, let's proceed as she suggested. An inexplicable sense of relief filled the conference room. Someone murmured, Miss Elaine has mellowed out quite a bit. True, she's not as domineering as before. Young people still deserve opportunities. I just have no interest in cleaning up your messes. After the meeting, I walked into my office with the documents and locked the door. My phone had already received a text message from Marcus. Materials received. We will conduct an internal review of the cooperation framework, with project initiation expected as early as next week. I sent him a briefing PPT, signed not as Elaine but under the newly registered Ichi Planning Studio. The ownership structure of this studio has just undergone a covert controlling stake change, on the surface unconnected, but in reality I hold all the cards. Serena was still in the conference room coordinating the self-serve bubble tea with admin, smiling like a pure-hearted innocent. That evening Adrian sent a WeChat message, Serena is still too naive and gets nervous easily. As her senior, you should guide her appropriately. I couldn't help but laugh when I read that. He actually wants me to teach Serena. Is he trying to get her killed faster? I replied with a simple okay. Then I immediately compiled her live stream accounts, past history, and records of private gigs and commercial performances into an anonymous report, which I sent to the Corporate Disciplinary Committee's email. In my previous life, her live stream exposed me, making me the target of widespread online condemnation. This time, I'll make sure she experiences what it's like to face a massive online backlash. Standing outside the conference room, I pulled out my phone and dialed Marcus's number. Hello, Miss Elaine. His laughter carried a tone of sober self-discipline. Leaning against the window, I murmured, just giving you a heads up, I'm bringing the project over, and I'm going to wipe the floor with the other side. Don't you worry. Marcus said, you just handle the cleanup, I'll take care of the fire. Chapter 4. The day of the project meeting was overcast when 3 senior executives from Group D arrived at RC Group's headquarters in a private car. The receptionist could sense their grim expressions even as she greeted them with an umbrella. It wasn't personal. They were all around 50, constantly managing their sugar intake, watching their fat consumption, and guarding against allergies. I'm not at all sold on this whole youth-oriented bubble tea marketing strategy. In front of the meeting room, Serena, wearing a bright yellow dress, was crouched on the floor arranging the newly set up bubble tea station. I chose the low-sugar versions for all the bubble teas, she said, turning to the admin staff, but the colors have to be photogenic. We must include strawberry milk green tea, cheese grapefruit tea, and the like. The toppings need to be plentiful too, to make the pictures pop. After half an hour of meticulous arranging, the bubble teas and petit fours were finally lined up like a proper afternoon tea display. She clapped her hands and turned to Adrian with a beaming smile. Mr. Adrian, would you like to add anything else? Adrian glanced over and nodded. Looks good. Several executives nearby exchanged glances, their faces betraying a hint of hesitation. About these refreshments, someone murmured under their breath, the boss has a sensitive stomach. Aren't these too sweet? No worries. She said she picked the low-sugar option. Hey, with all these reporters around, let's not embarrass the newcomers. Right on schedule, the D Group executives entered the room before they could even take their seats. Serena approached with a smile. Welcome, welcome. We've prepared some creative snacks that are popular with the younger crowd here. Hope you'll enjoy them. The 3 exchanged glances and, without a word, raised their cups out of politeness. After one sip, their expressions shifted slightly. Sitting in the middle, Mr. Cheng, a classic case of Stage 3 diabetes, suddenly flushed, his stomach cramping, he gripped the table with one hand and pressed the other against his abdomen. Who prepared this stuff? This is, the admin staff froze. Why is this so cloyingly sweet? Did you mix in condensed milk? The female assistant quickly handed him a tissue, quietly urging him to calm down. The investor nearby wiped his mouth with a frown. Are you actually serious? We're here to discuss funding, not to join your company's afternoon tea social. Mr. Ching immediately blocked the QR code under the milk tea. My kids aren't ordering from this place ever again. Absolutely dreadful. The atmosphere grew tense. Serena's face went pale instantly. She explained nervously, This is the low-sugar version. We tested all the ingredients beforehand. Low sugar, and you made people drink this. An investor glared at her. Are you trying to land us all in the hospital? The atmosphere turned palpably icy. Adrian stood up to smooth things over. Please don't be upset, everyone. This is Serena's first time leading a reception. She may be a bit inexperienced. Is she your fiancé or your assistant? Director Zhang, seated at the far right, glared coldly at him. I don't care who she is. Today is about a crucial partnership for the group. Treating investors like this, are you making a mockery of us? The air froze. The media happened to capture the moment. With the sound of camera shutters going off one after another, several shareholders nearby looked embarrassed, and one of them gritted his teeth and said, Take the milk tea away, replace it, quickly switch to the plan Elaine used last time. Before he could finish, Mr. Ching stood up, picked up his folder, and said, No need to change it. I won't look at the project for now. This is your attitude, and I'm not interested. The other two executives also stood up. If your leadership doesn't even care, then there's no point in continuing this discussion. We're not here for bubble tea. With those words, the three of them immediately turned and walked out. The moment the door closed, the conference room fell into complete silence. The journalists hesitated whether to keep filming, while several pale-faced shareholders rushed out the door after him, pleading, Mr. Ching, please don't leave. She wasn't really leading the project. We misunderstood. Serena, still standing in place, tugged nervously at Adrian's sleeve with trembling fingers and whispered, I didn't mean to. I checked their health records. I just wanted to innovate, really. Adrian didn't look at her, his gaze fixed coldly on the still steaming cup of milk tea. After a long silence, he spoke coldly. What about Elaine? Wasn't she supposed to be hosting? She withdrew on her own. She said she wants to step down as the lead. She said she agreed to let me take over. Serena's voice trailed off, because everyone was staring at her. From start to finish, she had fought for all of this herself. She snatched the position, proposed the plan herself, executed it herself. And now things have gone wrong. No one can cover for her. I tuned into the meeting live stream from my office just in time to see the investor stand up when Mr. Ching said, We're not here for bubble tea. I almost burst out laughing. I opened the message from Marcus. They've officially withdrawn their investment intent. I've received the relevant documents. Congratulations. First step accomplished, I replied. It's still early. The real show is yet to come. I put on my trench coat, gathered my things, and walked out of the office. My secretary Maya saw me and panicked. Miss Elaine, where are you going? The board is about to hold an emergency meeting. I walked with a light step and spoke in a gentle tone. I'm not Miss Elaine anymore. Remember, I stepped down from leadership a long time ago. What happened today has nothing to do with me. Chapter 5, 15 minutes later. An emergency executive meeting was urgently convened at our C group in the conference room. The shareholders looked grim. Mr. Cheng's shattered boba cup lay on the desk, coconut jelly scattered across the floor. The investors pulled out. Do you have any idea that money came from all of us taking out mortgages and betting our entire cash flow? If this isn't resolved today, I'm suing Mr. Adrian for malpractice, who authorized you to change the plan without approval. The retail investors, who had previously only cared about their dividends, were now in an uproar. I told you not to let an intern take the lead, but no one listened. Young people have creativity. One sip of that milk tea nearly sent me to the hospital. If this company goes under, Adrian, can you even afford to cover the losses? Adrian sat at the head of the table, his hands clasped together, his expression dark and brooding. Serena sat beside him, her face pale, her eyes darting nervously around the room. She tried to stand up and explain. No, that's not it. I was only assisting at first. Miss Elaine was the one in charge. What nonsense are you spouting? A vice president sneered on the spot. Elaine signed the withdrawal of lead responsibility form for the project long ago. You fought to take this on yourself, and now that you've caused a mess, you're trying to pass the buck. Serena clenched her jaw. Didn't you promise the investors would be blown away? You've certainly left them in the dark. Her entire body trembled. The same people who were just calling her Serena have now completely changed their Tune, I didn't show up, my office was cleared out, my access card deactivated, computer wiped clean, not even a pen left behind. She can't just not come, Adrian snapped, suddenly standing up and shoving his chair back. She can't run out on us now. As a founding shareholder, she's the one who should be handling this. If she doesn't fix this, don't blame me for what happens next. Blame you for what? A calm, gentle voice came from the doorway. I walked in wearing a beige trench coat, my hair impeccably coiffed and my expression detached, holding a document in my hand. I deliberately placed it on the conference table. This is the equity transfer application I submitted last week. The process is complete, and I am officially stepping down from my position as a director of RC. All eyes turned to the document. A bright red notary seal was stamped in the lower right corner, sealing every word in place. From today onward, I am a free agent. I have neither the right nor the interest to be involved in anything that happens at the company. Adrian strode closer, his voice a low, explosive whisper. Elaine, do you have any idea what kind of occasion this is? You're just going to stand by and watch us go down? Isn't it only natural to watch you crash and burn? He flinched. The meeting room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Serena tried to rush out and grab me. You can't leave. You knew the risks of this project all along. Did you do this on purpose? I gave a faint smile. Exactly, she froze in surprise. I moved closer slowly, locked eyes with her, and enunciated each word deliberately. You were the one who suggested the milk tea, wrote the presentation, and arranged the reception process. You want to stand out, to take my position, don't you? Well, then you'd better hold on tight and don't you dare cry. I scanned the room, looking at each of these people, the same ones who used to pull all-nighters with me until 4 a.m., only to stab me in the back when I hit a rough patch. Now they're all scrambling to take over Serena's presentation, all while badmouthing my judgment. So what now? Everyone's become like startled birds. One final reminder, I said softly, I've taken the D Group investment resources with me. From now on, they'll only negotiate with me. I started my own venture, the 1-7 Planning Studio, and we're currently in talks with the Marcus Group about follow-up collaborations. You'd better stop trying to contact Director Cheng. They've already blocked your email addresses. I turned and said as I walked away, don't thank me. I'm not kicking you when you're down, just giving you a little push. This time, don't bother climbing back out. Silence fell behind me. Serena screamed hysterically, I hope you die a horrible death. I walked away without looking back. Chapter 6. As I stepped out of the RC building, it began to rain. A gust of wind howled past. Lifting the hem of my trench coat, I opened the passenger door and slipped into the understated black sedan. Marcus was waiting for me, dressed in a gray suit with his shirt impeccably buttoned, his slender fingers drumming lightly on the steering wheel. You're looking well, he said casually as he started the car, withdrawing as planned. I nodded. Full retreat, freeze the marketing budget, unlock the accounts, and take all resources with us. He paused, glancing at me, showing mercy. My eyes shifted. Haven't even started making moves yet. He chuckled. You know, he said slowly, I used to think you were above scheming. Gazing at the raindrops splattering outside the window, I said flatly, I am above it, but if someone's determined to screw up, there's nothing I can do about it. Ichi Planning evolved from the small, established studio I started during my university days. Last week, I registered it as an independent legal entity, with the Marcus Group holding a 51% stake and me personally holding 49%, giving me actual control and veto power. Ichi had quietly launched 2 hours before the RC incident occurred. Just as RC's investment deal fell through and news broke of founder Elaine's departure, media outlets simultaneously released another piece of information. Marcus' new brand, 17 initiative, led by former RC core founder Elaine, has secured strategic investment from Group D. The internet exploded instantly. Isn't that the female executive who got exposed by an intern during a live stream? I thought she was fired. No, she left on her own accord. The company's investment deal fell through. She's back in the game, and she secured funding directly from D Group. What's her background anyway? It's like she was waiting for them to crash and burn from the very beginning. Sorry, but I'm standing with her on this. Meanwhile, chaos had completely taken over the RC building. The shareholder representatives have already demanded an audit. The CFO is on leave and unreachable, and the company's accounts have been frozen. The media are all camped out at the entrance, waiting to get their shots. There are more people here for the spectacle than for actual business discussions. The board's WeChat group was flooded with messages. Meanwhile, in the conference room, Adrian shattered his third glass. She can't just leave, he roared. How dare she walk away so cleanly? No one dared to make a sound. We're the ones who made her, he panted. The projects, the resources, the connections. I've been propping it all up, and now she thinks she can Just kick us to the curb and start over, all because of one failed pastry. As soon as he finished speaking, Serena pushed the door open and walked in. She was soaking wet, holding her phone, with red-rimmed eyes. Mr. Adrian, online. People are saying terrible things about me online. I didn't do anything wrong. She set me up to take the fall. I had no idea we weren't supposed to serve the milk tea. You have to help me. She kept repeating, you have to help me, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Adrian stared at her, his eyes for the first time holding a chilling emptiness. Didn't you say you could take her place? Serena froze. So tell me, are you qualified to sit in this position now? Her voice trembled. Are you blaming me now? Everything I did, wasn't it all for you? You told me she was emotionally unstable, that she was disobedient, that she was stubborn. You said you wanted me to stay in her place. I trusted you, and now everyone's blaming me. I'm blacklisted. RC is going under, and you're pointing fingers at me. She was nearly hysterical. Outside the conference room, someone had stopped to watch. Adrian rose to his feet, his voice dropping to a terrifying low. Do you really think I have time for your hysterics right now? Look at this circus. The press, shareholders, disciplinary committee. You think I have bandwidth to deal with you? Serena stared at him in disbelief. Are you trying to use me as a scapegoat? Who told you to steal the credit? He said with the casual tone of someone discussing the weather. Shouldn't you take responsibility for what you took? Elaine didn't cry when she left. How come you can't hold on anymore? Only Serena gets it. She's not Adrian's new flame. She's just a pawn, a temporary stand-in for me. Tossed in the trash at the first misstep, her whole body trembled, and the phone clattered to the floor. The rebuttal script she had spent 3 days preparing never got sent. The screen went black. Meanwhile, I was sitting in the conference room at 1-7 planning. White walls, a projector, sunlight streaming across the large table, and outside the window, a crystal clear sky after the rain had passed. Marcus slammed the contract on the table. D Group's strategic investment funds have been transferred. Miss Elaine, the floor is yours. I gave a slight nod. Excellent. Now it's time for us to turn the tables. Chapter 7. Trending number 3 on Weibo. #RC Group intern Serena responds to PR disaster. Hashtag bubble tea girl breaks down over being forced to take the fall. The live stream had only been up for less than 10 minutes, and the chat was already flooded with comments. Serena appeared on camera in a grey knit sweater, wearing no makeup, her eyes rimmed with red, her voice choked with emotion. She said, I know I don't have the right to fight for this opportunity, but I'm just an intern. When something goes wrong at the company, all the blame falls on me. I feel so helpless. She portrayed herself as the misguided, exploited girl in the workplace, speaking timidly through her tears. I know Miss Elaine is very capable, and I respect her, but she shouldn't have backed out at the last minute and left me to handle the reception all alone. I'm new here, so it's natural I might lack experience, but I meant no harm. She sounds so pitiful. Was Elaine too harsh on her? Isn't it inappropriate for an RC executive to push an intern to take the fall? Is the public persona starting to crumble now? The barrage comments are beginning to waver. Serena bowed her head to wipe away tears, while off-screen her agent was already publishing articles portraying her as a delicate, ethereal white moonlight. She knew that by steering public opinion toward Elaine deserting at a critical moment, even if she made mistakes in hosting, she could still garner a wave of public sympathy. But what she didn't know was, this time, I was waiting for her to speak up. I was sitting in the Ichi planning conference room when my phone buzzed with a notification. Marcus turned from his computer, his tone measured. She's live. I gave a slight nod. Time to shut her up. I activated the pre-scheduled content release. The entire internet exploded within a minute. I instantly bought out Weibo's hot search rankings, forcing my topic to the top spot. Elaine responds to intern's betrayal by releasing all project materials. The official @V account posted 5 consecutive updates. Complete audio recording of project meeting. Screenshot of Serena volunteering to lead the project via email. Payment receipt for bubble tea purchased by Serena on reception day. Reception workflow document submitted by her. The email correspondence with Group D explicitly stated, our designated contact for this visit, Serena. Every single item required an official stamp with timestamp, but the most critical failure was this. She was fully aware of the counterpart's diabetes condition, yet wrote in her reply, at our C Group, we've been pioneering innovative approaches to engage younger audiences. Our hospitality arrangements will reflect this youthful creativity. You have our assurance. She was fully aware of the situation. She just thought she could disguise it with buzzwords like innovation. The Weibo comment section exploded. She spearheaded this whole thing. Why is she crying now? Holy crap. This is like having God mode enabled. Elaine is absolutely slaughtering them. This isn't counterattack. Sis is conducting a Criminal investigation. She's not the victim, she's the mastermind behind it all. You thought you were just an intern, but you were actually breaking the law. 3 minutes later, Serena's live stream was shut down for the following reason: suspected of spreading rumors and defamation. The platform has received a real name report. 4 minutes later, the official account of 17 Planning posted another update. Additional report materials have been submitted to the police security camera footage. Late one night, Serena secretly photocopies tender documents in the print room and ships them via courier waybill, shipping address, recipient, a competing company in City. Her personally signed delivery receipt, stamped and thumbprint. Meanwhile, chaos erupted in the RC conference room. Adrian stared fixedly at his phone screen, a vein throbbing on his forehead. She's lost her mind, he roared. Has she gone insane? She even leaked the competitive materials. Serena had already been shoved to the ground, and everyone backed away several steps as if she were carrying the plague. It wasn't me, I didn't mean to, she sobbed uncontrollably. They made me do it. They told me to beat Elaine. Who? Adrian asked in a low voice. Who made you do it? She tried to explain through her choked sobs, but saw the utter disgust in his eyes. It suddenly dawned on her that she wasn't even worthy enough to be used as a pawn. Adrian held his forehead and muttered under his breath. This isn't just about revenge, she's trying to dismantle our entire conglomerate, piece by piece. He stepped out of the conference room and made a phone call. Take me to Ichi. I need to see Elaine. The other person hesitated. She instructed not to receive anyone from RC. I'm not with RC, Adrian growled. I'm her fiancé. After a moment of silence on the other end of the line came the reply. She did say that if you claim to be her fiancé, you should never come to see her. Chapter 8:17 Planning officially announced a 3-year long-term partnership with Group D. On the day the official blog post was published, it garnered over 100,000 shares and comments. That's Elaine's prowess for you. She didn't leave the game, she just moved to a bigger table to keep ruling. They didn't crash, they just upgraded their ride. Meanwhile, Ichi announced new partnerships for 3 consecutive days, signed a brand co-creation agreement with A-Vision Media, secured the master planning rights for Z City's landmark commercial project, launched IP collaboration with emerging design brand Inkblot project. Projects that RC could never land despite all their efforts are now being handed to me one after another, and Serena was taken into police custody on the 4th morning of all this unfolding. The incident stemmed from leaking confidential bidding information and involvement in improper benefit transfers. She sat in the back of the police car, still clutching the unaired live broadcast script. The live broadcast never happened that day, but surveillance footage captured the entire process of her mailing the documents and receiving the money. She could no longer muster those delicate, pitiable tears. The media summed up her current situation in one sentence: from cherished ideal to corporate whistleblower in just 5 days. Meanwhile, RC Group completely imploded. Major shareholders are dumping their stakes, the board is in disarray, employees are quietly updating their resumes, and someone at the front desk just handed in their resignation on the spot. The once bustling building was slowly dying. I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window on the top floor of Ichi, warm coffee in hand, documents spread out before me. Marcus stood behind me and murmured, Adrian's here, for the 6th time, haven't seen him. He said he's waiting for you downstairs. I flipped through the documents without looking up. Then let him wait, he said. He'll keep waiting. Can he afford to wait? I gazed out the window and said quietly, this building, he once told me to my face I wasn't qualified to enter. Now he wants to stand at the door waiting for me to give him a chance. Too late. Downstairs, Adrian stood at the entrance of Ichi Company, his shirt wrinkled, hair disheveled, and face haggard. For the first time in years, he found himself standing on the rain-soaked ground without his secretary or chauffeur, being looked up at from below. He had been standing there all day, from noon until dusk. Some people even secretly filmed him with their phones and posted it online. Former RC Group president waiting outside Ichi to reconcile with female CEO of Cemetery Bay trope confirmed. New case study in simp literature. Did he regret it? Did she even acknowledge him? Nope. She was sipping coffee. She lived more radiantly than anyone, while he was stuck in the wind like a stray dog. The comments section is losing it. Meanwhile, I sat in the office, pulling up RC's public sentiment monitoring one by one. This isn't Elaine's counterattack, it's the return of a queen. The entire internet owes her an apology this time. Would she be this formidable if she hadn't already died once back then? No. If I hadn't died once, I'd still be in the break room forcing smiles, drinking with shareholders, cleaning up other people's messes. So I'm grateful for that can of gasoline. It burned away the person I used to be, forging who I am today. Elaine, who would no longer compromise. At dusk, the security guard approached Adrian and urged him to leave. He said, Miss Elaine has already left for the day. You should go home. Adrian looked up, his eyes desolate and his throat dry. Did she really leave no room for our past affection? Chapter 9. The Global Enterprise Summit is the industry's most prestigious annual conference, hosted and funded by the D Group. It brings together media, investors, and industry peers in full attendance. 17 Planning was Invited to deliver a keynote speech, with me as the featured speaker. The night the announcement was made, it instantly blew up on Weibo's trending topics. Hashtag Elaine to make first public appearance. Hashtag former RC founder returns with new company. Hashtag she's not seeking revenge, she's rebuilding her throne. Hashtag the comment section has gone completely wild. Now this is what a true female protagonist looks like. I was still laughing when that loser was waiting for her after work. I'm going to camp out for the entire live stream of this speech. Can't risk missing a single word she says. Will she bring up old memories, maybe call someone out by name, waiting anxiously for updates. 5 minutes until she takes the stage. I'm backstage doing a final proofread of my script. The assistant approached and spoke cautiously. Miss Elaine, Adrian, he's at the door. Without looking up, I said, throw him out. He's on his knees. I stopped writing. On your knees, yes. The assistant swallowed hard. He said he'll do anything for your forgiveness. Just let him apologize in person, even a single word would suffice. I let out a soft chuckle. So he's finally ready to admit he was wrong. No. The assistant lowered his head. He said, his mistake was trusting the wrong person, and failing to deal with Serena in time. From start to finish, he never once said my mistake was betraying you. I nodded. Then he's even less worthy of being heard. The stage lights came up, and I stepped onto the platform. The media had their cameras trained on me, spotlights glaring in my face, while the live broadcast flooded screens across the internet. My gaze swept across the audience before darting away. In the farthest corner of the VIP section, a familiar figure sat in the most inconspicuous spot, head bowed, shoulders slumped. Adrian. He actually managed to sneak in dressed in a black suit. He stood like a bronze statue gathering dust. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up for an instant. Then he immediately stood up, walked to the edge of the podium in front of everyone, and with a thud, dropped to his knees. He knelt under all the cameras, facing me. A collective gasp swept through the entire venue. The media went wild. The live stream chat went absolutely wild. He's on his knees. Adrian is kneeling. What kind of legendary drama is this? The male lead from that workplace hellscape is begging his ex on his knees. Please sis, don't forgive him, the ultimate simp. Today's my social suicide. He knelt on both knees, palms pressed against the floor. When he lifted his head, his bloodshot eyes burned into me like a wolf stripped of its territory. Elaine, his voice was ragged, raw with desperation. I know I was wrong. I truly understand now. I'll never go back to RC. I don't need anything. Just let me stay as your assistant. I'll even fetch your water. I just want to stay by your side. I was wrong back then. I shouldn't have doubted you. Shouldn't have stood by her side. Shouldn't have left you to face those things alone. Elaine, I call out your name even in my dreams. I'm begging you, give me another chance. I listened to his every word, watching the hundreds of eyes in the audience and the rolling cameras on stage. Suddenly smiled. I picked up the receiver and spoke slowly. What is Mr. Adrian saying? I can't quite hear clearly. I'm too far above to hear the words you speak on your knees. The room fell into dead silence. The next moment, thunderous applause erupted, like a tsunami crashing through the roof of shame. So damn epic. I stand too. Hi, she's not talking about steps, but about vision. Adrian's reputation is completely destroyed, truly the internet's top female lead. She owns it. That made me jump up on the spot, sending shivers of delight through my entire body. Adrian staggered, his face turning deathly pale. He seemed to want to say more, but found his throat hoarse and his limbs ice cold. I stood under the light, watching him with a calm gaze. Your apology is hardly worth mentioning. He scrambled forward on his knees, bowing so low his head nearly touched my feet. Elaine, I truly regret everything. I've lost her now, and since the incident I haven't slept a wink night after night. Do you still hate me? I looked down and smiled. Mr. Adrian, you're not even worth my hatred anymore. He collapsed completely onto the ground, as if the entire world had trampled him into the mud. Chapter 10. After the summit, Adrian completely dropped off the radar. His company couldn't locate him. His legal team couldn't reach him, and even his custom Maybach had been sitting untouched in the underground garage for over 10 days. He was eventually found near an abandoned villa on the outskirts of the city, disheveled and sitting in the weeds. He clutched a trench coat, incessantly muttering unintelligible words. The medical examination revealed severe acute stress disorder with dissociative identity fragmentation. The attending physician said helplessly, he can no longer distinguish between reality and hallucinations. Meanwhile, I'm on a flight to New York. Ichi Planning is about to ring the opening bell on Nasdaq, with investments from both D Group and Marcus Group, making it the fastest growing unicorn this quarter. On stage that day, I wore a sharply tailored white suit, my long hair tied back in a low bun, with pearl earrings shimmering softly on my earlobes. The countdown reached 3 seconds, and the bell rang out. Dong, dong, dong. At the celebration dinner, Marcus raised his glass with a smile and said, "Congratulations, Miss Elaine. Today you officially become the youngest female founder of the new generation." "I haven't thanked you yet," I said. Looking up, he chuckled. "If thanks are due, you should thank yourself." I raised my glass and gently clinked it against his. A week later, I brought my mother home from the hospital. Her eyes welled up as she looked at the newly renovated courtyard. She smiled through tears and said, "You have everything now. All that's missing is someone to marry." I stayed silent, just lowering my head to gently stroke the silver ring on my finger. I bought that with my own savings when I was 16, my very first piece of jewelry. That was the year I first met Adrian. He told me, "That ring looks lovely on you. I bet you'll wear one just like it when you get married someday." I stared at it for a moment, then slowly slipped it off and tossed it into the little fountain behind me. Whether Elaine gets married or not, that's nobody's decision but her own, except for herself. The ring sank into the water, rippling outwards like a farewell that would never return. Story 2. My younger brother has mild nearsightedness. Dad heard snake gallbladder could improve eyesight and actually made him swallow it raw. I quickly intervened, warning them this could lead to parasitic infections later when his poor vision disqualified him from military academy. My parents blamed me for everything. "If you hadn't stopped Moo from eating that raw snake gallbladder, my son wouldn't have developed 1000-degree myopia and lost his government job." My younger brother obeyed our parents and sold me into the mountains, where I eventually died a miserable death after endless torment. When I opened my eyes again, I'd somehow returned to the day my brother swallowed that live gallbladder. "This time," I said with a smile, "if little brother eats this snake gall, his eyes will become big and bright. Come quick, son, see what Dad brought you. This is snake gallbladder. It improves eyesight and prevents nearsightedness." Seeing this familiar scene, I froze for a long moment before understanding dawned on me. I was reborn on the very day my younger brother swallowed a live gallbladder. In my past life, one day Mom suddenly noticed my brother couldn't see distant objects clearly. In a panic, she dragged him to the city hospital in a rush. After professional examination, the doctor diagnosed him with 150-degree myopia. The doctor recommended special corrective lenses that could effectively slow myopia progression, significantly reducing the risk of developing high myopia. All that talk about special glasses and true myopia is just a money-grabbing scheme. Hospitals these days are getting way too clever with their scams. I'm never setting foot in this godforsaken hospital again. After dragging my little brother home, Mom kept ranting to the whole family about how shady that hospital was. She angrily claimed the hospital wasn't just after our money. They were trying to trick my brother into wearing glasses. She'd heard that once you start wearing them, your prescription skyrockets until you're stuck with glasses for life. How dare you take my precious grandson to the hospital? Are you trying to kill him? To everyone's shock, Grandma flew into a rage upon hearing Mom had taken my brother to the hospital, slapping her without hesitation. In Grandma's mind, hospitals were terrifying places where no one ever came out unscathed. Dad yelled at Mom for being short-sighted, saying her hospital visits would bankrupt even a gold mountain. The next day, Dad came home with a snake gallbladder and whispered mysteriously to my younger brother, "Snake gallbladder improves eyesight and effectively prevents myopia." He made a point of emphasizing that he personally caught this wild snake, claiming its effects were far superior to farm-raised ones. In my past life, watching the scene unfold, I was beside myself with anxiety and desperately tried to stop them. I explained to them, "Snake gallbladder does have medicinal properties like improving eyesight and reducing internal heat." In the past, many people consumed them raw because the environment was pristine and free from parasites, but things are completely different now. With that, I quickly showed them the relevant cases I'd searched on my phone. My younger brother was horrified seeing all those cases of people's brains being infested with parasites after swallowing raw gallbladders, immediately swearing he'd never try it. But just then, Dad suddenly slapped me across the face and roared, "All my friends ate it without any issues, yet here you are making a fuss over nothing, deliberately scaring your little brother. For the sake of my brother's health, even taking that slap was absolutely worth it." After that incident, I patiently explained the importance of wearing corrective glasses and went to great lengths to convince our family to follow the doctor's advice and get him a proper pair. Though the process was arduous, I never gave up, because I firmly believe this is the only way to truly safeguard my brother's future. My younger brother was so addicted to gaming that his nearsightedness kept worsening, yet every time he needed new glasses, Mom would scold him about it. "This is all your sister's fault for not making you swallow live gallbladders, otherwise you'd never have needed glasses." He grew to resent me because of this. During his college entrance physical, we were shocked to learn his vision had deteriorated to -10 diopters. The severity made him ineligible for corrective surgery, dashing our family's hopes of him attending military academy. Enraged, my younger brother conspired with our parents to sell me into the mountains, condemning me to a slow, agonizing death through daily torment. Recalling the brutal suffering of my past life sent chills down my spine and ignited burning hatred in my heart. Now, facing the same scenario, I smiled sweetly and said, "Eating snake gall will make little brother's eyes big and bright." My younger brother stood frozen in hesitation, his eyes brimming with conflict and unease, yet amid the family's encouraging atmosphere, he ultimately chose to swallow the live snake gall whole. I watched the gallbladder intently. Tiny white specks occasionally darted beneath its membrane before vanishing without a trace. Witnessing this, I curled my lips in quiet satisfaction. Dad went to extraordinary lengths to ensure my younger brother would have bright, clear eyes. Every single day, he'd trek tirelessly into the mountains near our hometown to hunt. His sole mission was securing the purest, most natural snake gallbladders for my brother to consume. It never crossed his mind how severe pollution had become, especially in our rural hometown where poor sanitation significantly increased contamination risks and parasite exposure. Wild-caught doesn't necessarily mean safer than farm-raised, but I won't be the one to tell them. Apart from the special snake gallbladder reserved for my younger brother, Mom made full use of every other part of the snake. She prepared the snake meat into various delicacies through frying, boiling, and stir-frying. To her, snake meat was highly nutritious, and not a single scrap should go to waste. At the dinner table, I stole a curious glance at the famous dragon and phoenix soup, but that fleeting look was immediately noticed by Grandma's sharp eyes. Grandma frowned and scolded, "What are you staring at? Such a greedy little child." Utterly disgraceful. Grandma's sudden scolding startled me. I was just looking out of curiosity. I wouldn't dare eat that dragon phoenix stew anyway. What if it's undercooked? This dish is too rich. It wouldn't be good for you. Your brother's frail and needs nourishment. You're the older sister. Be sensible. Then came Mom and Dad's classic guilt-tripping remarks again, along with my brother's taunting glare. In my past life, this would have crushed me, but now, I'm all for it. If they won't let me eat this, the least they could do is offer something else. Can't even bother with basic courtesy. I must have been a complete fool in my past life to have never seen their true colors. Sis, don't blame Mom and Dad and Grandma. You can have my portion too. My brother wore a pitiful expression as he spoke, already reaching to put food in my bowl. I swiftly moved my bowl away. How could I have been so blind to my brother's manipulative ways? If I'd taken the food he offered, wouldn't that have perfectly played into his victim narrative? The old me might have faltered at his pitiful act, even accepting his kindness out of soft-heartedness, never suspecting the hidden agenda behind it. But now, I see right through his little games with perfect clarity. Chu-Wan-Ching, what's wrong with you? Your brother's just being thoughtful. Why are you dodging him? As the older sister, how could I possibly compete with my little brother for things? The moment these words left my mouth, the whole family broke into satisfied smiles. They were secretly gloating inside, thinking their long-term brainwashing had finally paid off. Meanwhile, watching their expressions, I genuinely laughed too. In the blink of an eye, over half a month passed. I was doing homework at home when Mom called, "Your little brother's getting bullied. Get over here now." When I rushed to the scene, I found a crowd gathered around. My heart sank, bracing for some serious trouble, but after pushing through the crowd, I discovered it was just my brother spraining his ankle during a basketball game with other boys. Mom was sobbing hysterically while cursing the other kids. Not satisfied with venting alone, she'd even dragged me into this to join her tirade. A smug, gloating smile spread across my younger brother's face, clearly reveling in our mother's unconditional defense of him, yet they remained completely oblivious to the disapproving looks around them. With Mom acting this way, what child would dare play with him anymore? This had happened before. I'd always been the one to apologize on their behalf, but Mom would turn her anger on me instead, leaving me battered and bruised. But Mom's triumph was short-lived. Soon the other child's parents arrived in a fury. The moment they met, tensions exploded into a full-blown physical altercation. The police finally arrived in a hurry, putting an end to this farce. Back home, Mom kept cursing under her breath, vowing to make them pay. When I suggested checking on my brother's injuries, she slapped me out of nowhere, calling me useless for just standing by. While she got beaten, she then frantically examined my brother's wounds. The sight of that small lump on his foot broke her heart completely. I quickly reminded her that snake soup promotes blood circulation, reduces swelling, and relieves pain. Just as expected, she immediately called Dad to buy a snake. Though they both agreed wild-caught ones were better, the time investment was too great, so they naturally settled for farm-raised. But snakes never come cheap, and my brother had gone days without swallowing a gallbladder. I remember when I broke my arm cycling home. Instead of comfort, I got slapped twice and was told to stop being dramatic. It's just a broken arm, not like you're dying. We're both their children. Why such blatant favoritism? Back then, I'd even fantasized about the scene after my death, picturing them weeping bitterly, consumed by regret, tormented by remorse for their past actions. Yet my past life experience hit me like a bucket of ice water, brutally dousing Those fantasies. The cruel truth was, I'd overthought everything for days on end. My younger brother finally got to indulge in the snake gallbladders he'd been craving. Time flew by in a blink, and before I knew it, the college entrance exams were upon us. Sis, your college entrance exam is just around the corner. You've got this, he finished with a mischievous grin. In my past life, the day before my exam, my younger brother suddenly complained of stomach pains. Mom insisted I take care of him, leaving me sleepless all night. In the end, I underperformed and only got into a mediocre university. Looking back now, there were just too many red flags, so I resolutely applied for boarding school. When my brother learned I'd applied to live on campus, he threw a tantrum. He vehemently demanded I come home, insisting family support would help me perform better. His over-the-top reaction confirmed my suspicion. He'd sabotaged me deliberately in that past life. I turned to my homeroom teacher for help, and fortunately, she happened to be best friends with my younger brother's teacher. Since my brother had average grades, he was usually terrified of teachers. Upon learning this, my teacher decided to coordinate with her best friend to have my brother's teacher put some pressure on him. With the teacher's intervention, my brother finally had no choice but to agree to let me live on campus, free from my brother's mischief. I successfully got admitted to my dream university without any hiccups. When I pulled out Tsinghua University's admission letter, my brother's eyes turned bloodshot. As if they could drip blood, he aggressively reached out, ready to tear my acceptance letter to shreds, only to be slapped by our father. My brother froze instantly, his face a mask of utter disbelief. The moment my results were announced, Dad received unprecedented attention and praise. Everyone congratulated him for raising a Tsinghua scholar, praising his parenting skills. Even his boss started treating him with newfound respect. Father felt a sense of accomplishment he'd never experienced before. At that moment, Dad only had eyes for me, his pride and joy who'd made him proud. Even Mom and Grandma didn't side with my brother, since they too were basking in everyone's flattery and admiration. 3. Even the crown prince means nothing when their own interests are at stake. All that unconditional pampering vanishes in an instant. A few days later, Dad threw me a college celebration banquet. With a big crowd at the banquet, Dad kept showing off my younger brother, bragging endlessly about how smart and well-behaved he was. You'd think he was the one who got into Tsinghua University. The night before I left for university, Mom suddenly called me aside for a talk. Wanqing, your father and I are the only ones earning money in this household, but the whole family depends on us. We simply can't afford to support you anymore. You'll have to figure out how to pay your tuition on your own. Fine. If you insist on us paying, you'll have to agree to our terms. This happened in my past life too. They used every trick in the book to pressure me into staying local for college. That way, I could take care of the household, tutor my younger brother, and save the family a fortune in tutoring fees. But now Tsinghua University has reached out to me directly, leaving them no room to interfere. Seems they still won't give up, trying to use financial pressure to force me into submission and remain there. Puppet. Unfortunately, I'd already taken out student loans early on and even bought lottery tickets. In my past life, my neighbor won 10,000 yuan in the lottery. Overjoyed, he couldn't stop sharing his excitement with everyone, leaving a lasting impression on me. Given a second chance, I followed his lead and bought 10 shares. Not that I couldn't afford more, but I didn't want to draw unnecessary attention to myself. Without me as free labor, Dad had no choice but to enroll my younger brother in cram school. My younger brother isn't the sharpest tool in the shed and spends all day slacking off playing games instead of studying, which earned him a scolding from his teacher. But Mom thought her precious boy was being treated unfairly and stormed into the tutoring center in a rage. To calm the situation, the tutoring center suspended the teacher for reflection and expelled my brother. After trying several other tutoring centers with no improvement in his grades, Mom actually demanded that I come home every week to tutor him. Mom, I'd be happy to help, though it does save 2 days worth of meals each week. The round trip ticket costs 490 yuan. Could you transfer me the money? After family discussions, they decided against having me tutor my brother. Not only was the travel expense high, but 2 weekly tutoring sessions wouldn't make much difference. Left with no choice, they enrolled him in a less reputable cram school instead. My brother's never been the sharpest tool in the shed. In my past life, it took customized study plans, daily supervision, and me highlighting key points just to get him into a second-tier university. Yet they accused me of being too harsh on my younger brother, calling me jealous, when in truth, I endured all the unfairness for the sake of his future. I can't help but wonder, without my help, what scores will my brother actually achieve? Will he make it into that military academy he's been dreaming about? I've always known with crystal clarity that I have no safety net to fall back on. That's why I threw myself into academics during college, devouring knowledge, joining my professors, Research projects, staying gloriously busy one evening. Just as I stepped out of the lab, my mother's call came through. Lin Wanqing, your brother suddenly lost his vision. What should we do? Ask him what he was doing just now. What caused this sudden vision loss? Lin Wanqing, you're a Tsinghua honor student. Your brother's counting on you. You can't abandon him now. Do you know what he was doing earlier? If not, go ask him immediately. Why'd he go blind? Parasites, obviously, swallowing all those snake gallbladders raw. He's lucky symptoms only showed up now. Mumu played video games nonstop for a full day and night, then suddenly lost his eyesight. That explains it. His eyes shut down from extreme fatigue. Just get proper sleep and he'll recover. If you're really worried, take him for an 4 drip. Go ahead, pump him full of 4 fluids, make his constitution even weaker. After dealing with mom, I peacefully drifted off to sleep. Sure enough, my younger brother recovered the next day. To help him regain strength, mom even prepared an extravagant snake banquet. She couldn't stop bragging to everyone about his incredible constitution, how he could regain perfect vision overnight after temporary blindness. His eyesight was so sharp he could spot things clearly from 100 meters away. Such vision is truly exceptional in this era where 80% of teens suffer from nearsightedness. All thanks to his childhood habit of swallowing raw snake gallbladders. Indeed, my younger brother often gets headaches. Though he's obsessed with his phone, he never uses it for long stretches. Prolonged use triggers his headaches, so his eyesight has remained excellent. For time drifted by quietly. After graduating university, I landed a job at a multinational company and chose to work far away from my family. The next time I received a call from home was after my brother finished his college entrance exams. Lin Wanqing, you graduated from Tsinghua University. You've seen the world. Tell us, which university would be best for your brother? A Beijing school would be ideal, closer to you so you can keep an eye on your little brother too. So he still expects me to be his nanny. I don't work in Beijing. My position requires frequent relocation, so I won't stay in one city permanently. As a key talent in the company's development program, I need to visit different branches for training. Which isn't entirely untrue, and he's a Tsinghua graduate. What a pathetic state he's ended up in. True, the job market's tough these days. I'm just grateful to have any work at all. By the way, didn't you always want him to attend military academy? Just apply with last year's cutoff scores. Well, your brother only scored around 300 points. Getting into military academy might be a stretch. In my past life, though my brother didn't get into military academy with my help, he still made it to a top-tier university. After graduation, he aced the civil service exam and secured an iron rice bowl job, living a fulfilling life. This lifetime, I chose to let him follow his path, yet even with hawk-eyed vision, his test scores doomed any chance of military academy admission. Mom, these scores are completely beyond my comprehension. Maybe you should consult an admissions counseling agency. What's the point of getting into Tsinghua if you can't even help with this? Such a waste raising you. Dad immediately launched into a furious tirade, calling my brother a useless failure for not getting into college and humiliating him, ranting about schools neglecting students, and cursing tutoring centers as incompetent money grabbers who couldn't teach properly despite charging a fortune. In reality, many vocational colleges offer excellent prospects. By mastering specialized skills, graduates can shine in their respective fields and achieve both substantial rewards and promising career growth. But I'd never breathe a word of this to them. Don't think getting into Tsinghua makes you special. You might not even end up as successful as me. My younger brother snatched the phone from mom and started screaming hysterically. I immediately hung up to end his pathetic tantrum. That family never reflects on their own mistakes. It's always someone else's fault. After failing the college entrance exam, my brother completely lost his confidence. Though not particularly bright, he'd always had an inflated ego, dismissing vocational colleges beneath him. Now he just holes up at home gaming all day. One day, mom stumbled upon a bizarre reality show. Suddenly inspired, she decided to turn my brother into an internet celebrity by live-streaming him eating raw snake gallbladders and flesh. That's right, for the sake of entertainment value, he'd have to swallow not just snake bile but raw snake meat. Mom even insisted with conviction that both were highly nutritious tonics. Sure enough, this outrageous stunt drew quite the crowd of onlookers. Seeing this, mom became even more smug and started bragging loudly about how swallowing snake gallbladders improves eyesight. She even cited my brother's perfect 20/20 vision as living proof. Snakes are like miniature dragons where every part is precious. Since childhood, my brother's been swallowing snake gallbladders. Not only does he have sharp vision, his skin's as smooth as a snake's. My brother's live stream blew up overnight, with viewership skyrocketing. Within just 1 month, he became a streamer with millions of followers, raking in serious cash. Countless fangirls even spammed comments saying they'd bear his children. But now my brother looks down on the goddess he was once obsessed with, thinking she's no longer worthy of him. Yet a small fraction of fans remain deeply concerned, pointing out that consuming raw snake gallbladders and meat carries a high risk of parasitic infections, posing severe threats to health and even life. But by then, the parents were already blinded by the flood of profits. They turned a deaf ear to these well-intentioned warnings, even going so far as to block any fan who voiced concerns. They were utterly intoxicated by the thrill of wealth and fame. It seems that when their own interests are at stake, even their once doted upon son could be sacrificed without hesitation. In the end, they only truly love themselves. Birds of a feather flock together. What a bunch of sophisticated egoists. My brother suddenly mentioned feeling weak during the live stream, with sore and limp limbs. Fans quickly noticed something was off. Upon closer look, they saw his flushed face and flooded the chat, urging him to take fever meds immediately. Instead of giving my little brother fever reducers, Mom seized the chance to promote her snake gallbladder cures all theory and made him swallow several raw snake gallbladders. She even claimed snake gallbladder works like traditional Chinese antibiotics. 1 gallbladder equals a cephalosporin pill, with no alcohol restrictions. 5, but after taking them, not only did his fever persist, it triggered severe headaches instead. My head is killing me. The younger brother contorted his face in agony, howling while violently pounding his head. Both the livestream viewers and their mother were terrified. This is no ordinary headache. No normal headache could cause this level of pain. It must be a parasitic infection. The worms are eating his brain. Oh my god, I'm never eating raw cured food again. Look, there's something moving in his eyeball. Mom instantly snapped out of it, shut down the live stream, and called me. After hearing Mom's tearful account, I urged her to take my brother to the hospital, but remembering Grandma's slap last time and Dad's reproaches, she still didn't dare to take him. She just kept telling me to come home immediately. After a moment's thought, I figured might as well join the excitement, and immediately booked a flight back. When my brother showed no improvement after the 4 drip at the small clinic, we had no choice but to tell Dad and Grandma, Moo, stop hitting the head, you'll knock yourself silly. Seeing my brother's reckless fighting style, Grandma desperately grabbed his arm, only to be violently shaken off by the frenzied boy, leaving her collapsed on the floor for a long while. Son, what's wrong? Don't scare me like this. Tears streamed down father's face as he watched my younger brother writhing in pain. Spotting mother cowering nearby, his rage erupted instantly as he began beating her mercilessly. Is this how you care for my son? Did you poison him, you wicked woman? You deserve to die. Whenever little brother had problems before, I was always the one who got beaten, but now that I'm gone, mother has become the new punching bag. I would never. Moo is my own flesh and blood. How could I possibly harm him? I'd rather die myself than see Moo get hurt. Then how did my son end up like this? Just then, the younger brother suddenly started foaming at the mouth and convulsing violently before losing consciousness moments later. Dad was frantic with worry. He immediately scooped up my little brother and rushed to the hospital. Grandma trailed behind, screaming and trying to stop them. Consumed by terror, she feared her beloved grandson would never return if they went to the hospital, but no one paid her any heed. When I hurried to the hospital, the doctor was holding a stack of test results, announcing that my brother had a parasitic infection requiring surgery. Though the procedure carried significant risks, Grandma refused to accept it, stubbornly convinced someone had cursed my brother with black magic. She insisted she knew exactly where to find a mystic who could break the hex. Dad realized hex just meant parasite. Grandma had a point, so he picked up my brother and turned right around. The doctor quickly intervened to stop my father, explaining that my brother was in critical condition and needed immediate surgery, but my grandmother lashed out at him, accusing the hospital of being money-grubbing and heartless. Seeing how stubborn they were, the doctor had no choice but to let them leave. Though his duty was to save lives, there was nothing he could do when patients refused treatment. Just then, my mother pulled me aside to a secluded spot. Wanqing, please talk some sense into your father. We need to get Moo that surgery. You're a Tsinghua graduate. You know best. Your father will listen to you. Those so-called masters are just peddling superstitious nonsense. Don't fall for it. Why don't you talk to Dad directly? This not trusting you is just an excuse. You just want me to take the fall for you. Since childhood, I could never bear to see you wronged, always rushing to your defense, yet you joined them in bullying me, not falling for it this time. Moo is your own brother. How could you be so heartless as to leave him in mortal danger? 6. She swung a slap at me, but I dodged it deftly. If even his own mother won't save him, why should I, his sister? Stick my nose in. Fine. You've really grown some nerve, you ungrateful little brat. All these years wasted on you. You think I wanted your charity? If not for that DNA test, I'd swear I wasn't even your child. Mom rolled her eyes in fury, but I wasn't about to indulge her tantrum. I turned and followed Dad instead. Watching my brother drink talisman water, sprinkle black dog's blood, and consume cinnabar made my skin crawl. Yet shockingly, his headaches actually stopped afterward. Granny smugly boasted to our parents that experience always trumps youth. My brother was endlessly Grateful to Granny, the mere thought of brain surgery terrified him beyond words. Back home, my brother immediately went live, sharing his ordeal with followers and especially thanking Granny for sparing him the nightmare of a craniotomy. The second day after returning home, my younger brother started getting headaches again during his live stream. I earnestly advised him on camera to follow the doctor's recommendation for surgery, only for him to completely lose his temper and hurl vicious insults at me. Maybe everyone has that tendency to avoid reality, especially when facing life-threatening situations. We'd rather deceive ourselves than face the truth. I did that specifically to preserve evidence and prevent them from turning the tables later. Time proved I made the right call. After the live stream ended, Grandma mysteriously pulled out a bag of powder and whispered something to my brother. The master claimed to have largely cured the illness yesterday, though some residual issues remain that require gradual treatment. This is the master's secret remedy. Take it for a week, and you'll be completely healed. My brother's eyes lit up instantly. He eagerly gulped down the master's potion, then soon dashed to the bathroom. A sudden scream sent us rushing to the toilet, where we found the bowl teeming with wriggling worms. The sight made me puke my guts out, so revolting that I instantly regretted rushing over. This horror will haunt me for life, but the nightmare wasn't over. My younger brother started vomiting live worms from his mouth. My world spun violently as I witnessed this. I desperately wished to black out. No one could fathom this terror without experiencing it firsthand. Not a single family member dared touch him until he finally passed out. Wan Ching Chu, what are you standing there for? Get your brother to the hospital now. My father roared at me. I won't go. I'm scared. With that, I quickly grabbed my bag and bolted out of the house. I can't stand another second in this house. It's absolutely revolting and suffocating. In the end, Dad scooped up my little brother and rushed him to the hospital at full speed. It's clear how much he loves him, not that Mom and Grandma don't care. They're women with limited strength, and the shock left them too paralyzed to even stand. The medical examination revealed my brother had ingested pesticide. The master knew it was a parasitic infection, so he gave Grandma deworming powder, thinking it would kill the parasites in the boy's body. This method might work for common intestinal roundworms, but the parasites had already invaded not just his gut, but his brain as well. The dewormer didn't kill the parasites, it only agitated them, making them writhe more violently. After emergency surgery, the boy survived, but tragically became completely paralyzed, barely able to move even a finger. Grandma nearly fainted upon hearing the news. A young nurse shed tears of sympathy when she saw our family's distress. Chu Wanqing, you didn't even help Grandma when she almost collapsed. You refused to take your brother to the hospital. How heartless can you be? Even a stranger showed more compassion than you, treating your own family with such cruelty. How could anyone be so cold-blooded? The moment my parents started scolding me, it immediately sparked a wave of murmurs from the crowd, every voice rising and falling in judgment against me. Mom, didn't you see what the doctor brought out? As soon as I finished speaking, I vomited. Seeing it again clearly hadn't lessened the shock. The onlookers turned their gaze to where the doctor was holding a stainless steel basin, its contents horrifying, a basin teeming with worms. 7. The crowd gasped in horror, with the more timid ones screaming outright. Chaos erupted, and no one had the presence of mind to blame me anymore. Suddenly, Dad clutched his head and cried out in pain, Doctor, help, my head's killing me. It feels like worms crawling in my brain. Perhaps terrified by my brother's ghastly condition, Dad too felt a splitting headache. Then with a sudden agonized scream, he collapsed unconscious. Turns out Dad was also infected with parasites, but since he'd consumed fewer snake gallbladders, his condition wasn't severe. With medical treatment, he barely suffered any serious after effects. Mom and Grandma immediately got checked too, only to find mild intestinal infections that could be cured with deworming medication. But upon hearing about her own parasite infection and seeing Dad and little brother's miserable state, Grandma had such a shocked that she suffered a stroke. Thankfully, prompt treatment left her with just hemiplegia. Staring at her devastated family, Mom momentarily spaced out, bewildered at how their perfectly normal household had suddenly descended into this nightmare. Wanqing, this must be a dream. Tell me it's just a dream, sweetheart. Mom then pinched my arm hard. I yanked my hand away in pain. What kind of lunatic pinches someone else instead of themselves? After caring for them at the hospital for days, I packed up to return to work once they were discharged, only for them to throw every possible obstacle in my way. Chu Wanqing, how dare you go to work when the house is in such a state? Have you no conscience at all? Can't you see how much your brother is suffering? Hurry up and help him turn over. Give him a massage. Have you forgotten the doctor's instructions? How could you be so heartless? What happened to my kind and filial daughter? Don't be upset, dear. Your mother's just worried. Don't take it to heart. Your father knows you're good and dutiful. I'm sure you'd never abandon the family. They played the good cop and bad cop routine with masterful precision. When I was little, whenever my brother and I had a fight, even when I was clearly the wrong party, Mom would always scold me without hearing my side, accusing me of bullying him and failing to be a caring older sibling. And Dad, He gave me these earnest lectures about how hard mom worked to take care of the family, how I should be more understanding, how I needed to look out for my little brother. My heart ached with grievances I couldn't voice. Though my brother was at fault, I bore the brunt of the blame, swallowing every bit of pain in silence. Only after living a second life did I understand hearts are inherently biased. To those who don't love you, even your death would be an inconvenience. This time I won't fall for their manipulation, nor will I pity them. All I want is for them to get what they deserve. I could just quit my job, but are you going to pay off my student loans for me? It's not much, just over 200k yuan, 200k, who are you trying to fool? Since when does college cost that much? Do you think college is just tuition and dorm fees? Do I not need to eat? Have you any idea how expensive Beijing is? Or do you think graduates don't need money for rent? How could it possibly be over 200,000? I was fully prepared, pulling out stacks of bills, showing all the classes I'd enrolled in, yoga, music, makeup tutorials, you name it, what I missed out on as a child, I made sure to give myself as an adult. When my parents saw the long list of expenses, their faces flushed with anger, but there was nothing they could do to stop me from leaving. At the hospital, my only responsibilities were bringing them meals, receiving visiting relatives and friends, and putting on a show of filial devotion whenever outsiders were around. I'd often disappear for hours under the pretense of escorting visitors, and never missed a chance to help other patients when needed. Everyone praised me as capable, dutiful, and kind-hearted. Soon after, Mom went live on my brother's streaming channel, publicly denouncing how wicked their daughter had become. They spoiled that girl rotten since childhood, always favoring her over their son, giving her the best of everything, especially education. Why else would she get into Tsinghua while her brother had to earn family income as an internet celebrity when the whole family was hospitalized after the incident? The daughter shamelessly dumped all responsibilities on her mother instead of caring for them. After discharge, she abandoned the vulnerable family members to avoid being burdened. She'd rather waste money on useless training programs than help her family in crisis. As the saying goes, no child blames their mother's looks, no dog blames its home's poverty. Her behavior was worse than an animal's, utterly breaking their hearts. They even displayed medical records and our household register publicly, exposing my personal information. They attempted to force my surrender through online harassment. Fortunately, I had a countermeasure ready. After the incident fully escalated, I uploaded our previous chat history. The chat records perfectly revealed how a son-preferring family systematically oppressed and gaslight their daughter. Many fellow patients came forward with testimonies about my devoted care, even sharing how I nearly collapsed from exhaustion, actually due to unnoticed hypoglycemia. The issue of son preference has become a social hot topic, reaching unprecedented levels of public attention. Seriously, favoring daughters means giving the son his own room while the daughter sleeps in the kitchen, or the whole family gets nutritional supplements while excluding the daughter. Thank God she didn't eat that stuff. If my daughter got into Tsinghua, I'd treat her like royalty. I'd sell everything we own before letting her take out student loans. See this, women often perpetuate son preference worse than men do. Shame on them, they're women themselves. Those who only ever profited from the internet finally faced its backlash. They had no choice but to delete their accounts, yet still couldn't escape the gossip from colleagues and neighbors. Later, I posted from a burner account, mom's blood type is O, kids AB, definitely not biological, right? 8. The photo was cropped from the mother's household registry screenshot. The internet instantly buzzed with excitement again. Wow. It's so rare for a child not to be biologically related to their mom. Only a bold streamer like you would have such unique drama. Must be a hospital mix-up. Just saw a similar news story the other day. Lots of people have fake blood types on their household registrations. Clerk just scribbled random stuff, thinking they could find peace by deactivating their accounts. They were instead dragged back into the whirlpool of public scrutiny. Truth is, Mom only glanced at the camera briefly. It was hard to see clearly, but that damned half-brother from my past life made sure I knew everything when he sold me out, yanking my hair while spitting out the truth. He's actually Dad and Aunt Wang's child. The baby Mom gave birth to is abandoned on a mountain to die. We're both just tragic casualties in this mess. Mom nearly had a breakdown when she saw the message and immediately demanded a paternity test. Have you ever had your blood type tested? Nope, never. Then that proves the staff just made it up randomly. Why get so worked up over others' comments? How ridiculous. Hearing Dad's words, Mom realized he was right and felt reassured. I gave Mom a call. Mom, little brother doesn't look like you or Dad at all. Even with your genes mixed, he should at least resemble me somewhat. But he doesn't look like anyone in the family. But your dad and grandma both refused to let me get a paternity test done. Just because they're against it doesn't mean you can't do it secretly. If Timo really isn't my brother, then my real brother must be perfectly healthy. That'd be your safety net for old As expected, she agreed immediately when she heard it was in her favor. After waiting for days, the results confirmed that my younger brother wasn't mom's biological child, and she tearfully broke the news to me. I suggested she report it to the police, but she said Dad wouldn't allow it. Even a pet dog grows on you, let alone raising Moo for over a decade, even if he's not my biological child. I'll always treat him as my own. Our biological son must have his own life too. How could you bear to disturb him? But Mom didn't want a completely paralyzed son. She found fault with my brother in every way, and within just a few days, he even developed bed sores. This led to another huge fight between Mom and Dad, and Mom came crying to me again. I suggested to Mom that she secretly arrange a paternity test for Dad. Only by witnessing firsthand that my brother isn't his biological son could Dad truly understand how Mom feels. Mom actually went behind Dad's back and did it. When Dad saw the outcome, he was utterly devastated. Grandma was so furious she ended up in the ICU. That's when Mom finally understood the consequences. After Grandma passed away, I returned for the funeral. Seeing my parents with their silver hair sent a pang through my heart, but remembering their past actions quickly hardened my resolve. After some thought, I went to visit my younger brother. Sis, take me with you. I know you care about me the most. I want to live with you, in your dreams. You're not even my real brother. Why should I care about you, still expecting me to look after him at a time like this? The nerve. You're back too, Chu-Wan-Ching, right? This wasn't how it was supposed to be. I passed the civil service exam, married a beautiful wife, had an adorable baby. I was happy, yes, I should be happy. So where did it all go wrong? Hearing his cries, I realized he'd returned too, just far too late. My brother's having a mental breakdown. Should we commit him to a psychiatric hospital? After arranging Grandma's funeral, I made the suggestion to my parents. To my surprise, Dad refused. He insisted he'd treat my brother as his own blood, even though he wasn't biologically his. Staring at my father's solemn face, I fell silent. In that moment, he truly embodied what it means to be a man. One day, my account suddenly showed a large deposit. It turned out Mom had transferred the money. She'd noticed Dad and Grandma's odd behavior long ago. Timu was never a case of mistaken identity. He was Dad's white moonlight child, born before her passing. Believing the baby was his with his first love, Dad abandoned his wife's newborn and passed off his former flame's child as their own. Grandma was aware of this matter, so she personally removed her own oxygen tube. Even after Dad found out the child wasn't biologically his, even though his first love had manipulated him, he still loved her and cherished her child. In the end, Mom expressed remorse to me, tearfully apologizing, but I chose not to accept it. To forgive would be a betrayal of my childhood self, and of my past life that ended in tragedy. Soon, Dad realized there was no money left at home. Mom claimed she'd donated it all to an orphanage, even fabricating donation records. She said if her child had survived by chance, they might have ended up in an orphanage. Deep down she knew the child wouldn't survive those freezing days. Handing the baby to me, her only child, was the merciful choice. Dad completely fell apart when he found out, having quit his job to manage my brother's influencer career with Mom. Their reckless gamble left them penniless and clueless about survival. Then he contacted me about an arranged match. Some perfect gentleman from a good family who'd supposedly never consider me if not for my Tsinghua pedigree. I told Mom immediately. Her investigation revealed he was gay, just looking for an intelligent wound to trick into a sham marriage. After a violent altercation, Dad had no choice but to abandon the idea. Dad was shrewd yet ruthless. Seeing reports of medical disputes sparked an idea. He wheeled my brother to the hospital daily, holding protest banners accusing improper treatment. Why else would nurses cry? Guilty conscience, he claimed. The hospital reluctantly settled with compensation, while the young nurse received a severe disciplinary mark. Perhaps the prolonged agitation worsened Dad's worm-eaten mind. He became haunted by hallucinations of insects feasting on his brain, sucking marrow and gnawing flesh. Then one day, he swung a knife at Mom. She barely dodged the sudden attack, but my younger brother wasn't so lucky. Dad hacked him to pieces. Dad was later diagnosed with schizophrenia. After some treatment at the psychiatric hospital, Mom brought him back home. Dad thought Mom still loved him, but the truth was, she tied him up the moment he returned, claiming it was for his own safety during episodes. In reality, Mom had secretly replaced his meds with vitamins long ago, triggering his frequent psychotic breaks. During his psychotic episode, she kept pressing him for details about abandoning their child. In his dazed state, he accidentally revealed the truth. The poor baby was never abandoned, but murdered at birth by his white moonlight. With him covering up the crime, Mom couldn't accept this truth and tormented Dad daily with increasingly cruel methods. But the ropes gradually frayed from his constant struggles over time. Despite prolonged starvation, Dad, being physically stronger, overpowered and killed Mom with terrifying ease. To avoid Being sent back to the psychiatric ward, Dad lived with Mom's decomposing corpse. When the stench became impossible to conceal, the police finally arrested him. When I heard the news from the police, my emotions were in turmoil. After handling my mother's funeral arrangements, I admitted my father to a psychiatric hospital with an excellent public reputation. In reality, this institution had been exposed for subjecting patients to forced treatments and brutal abuse, though the scandals were quietly suppressed. I deliberately paid a substantial medical fee and specifically instructed the doctors to provide proper care. Meanwhile, I'll be relocating overseas to assume the role of business director at headquarters, a highly challenging position I'm fully confident in tackling.